Chapter 1390. The two great Empyreans resisted desperately, erupting with their strongest power. One of them brandished a sword-shaped Empyrean spirit treasure, tearing open the void and stabbing over. As for Empyrean South Deep, he was even more domineering. Two Empyrean spirit treasures revolved around him. One of them was defensive, carrying out all-round defense. The other was similarly defensive. It could be said to be a double defense. The first was a low-rank Empyrean spirit treasure. It was considered to be tempered in order to survive in the early stages. Often, an Empyrean's first Empyrean spirit treasure was defensive. After all, even if one broke through to the Empyrean realm, it was still easy to fall into a life-and-death crisis. Thus, a defensive-type Empyrean spirit treasure was especially important. But he did not expect that Empyrean South Deep's second Empyrean spirit treasure was also defensive. He really liked to focus on defense to protect his life. However, there were also more radical ones. For example, another Empyrean used an attack-type Empyrean spirit treasure, using offense as defense. The two great Empyreans attacked Yi Tianyun fiercely. Their auras were like rainbows, able to shatter the void. Yi Tianyun completely ignored Empyrean South Deep. His figure disappeared from where he was with a flash. In the next instant, he turned into a sharp light, piercing through the back of another Empyrean. Puchi, a spear pierced in, followed by a flick, directly insta-killing the other party. Without even needing a face-off, he easily insta-killed the other party. This was the advantage of using teleportation at will. He could quickly arrive behind the other party and launch a sneak attack without the other party noticing. However, this was only effective in this divine realm. In other divine realms, Yi Tianyun's suppression effect would disappear, allowing their strength to maintain a higher level. Originally, Empyrean South Deep could possess extremely powerful strength when he erupted. Now, what he erupted with was at most barely reaching the middle-level Empyrean standard. This kind of weakening was extremely terrifying. Here, Yi Tianyun was a god. He could control everything. Die. After Yi Tianyun waved his spear, he continued to attack Empyrean South Deep fiercely without the slightest pause. In one spurt, he intercepted all the invaders. Boom boom boom. Celestial Venerable South Deep was forced to retreat again and again, completely unable to resist Yi Tianyun's fierce attacks. The two Celestial Venerable Spirit treasures on his body were on the verge of collapse. If he hadn't had two defense-type Empyrean Spirit treasures, he would have been instantly killed by Yi Tianyun. This power is too strong, and my power is being suppressed. What is going on? Celestial Venerable South Ming was about to go crazy. Everything was different from what they had agreed on. Then, he thought of the Divine Emperor Yuqin's words, and his heart sank. Could it be that she was just spouting nonsense? That's impossible. Old man, don't you think it's strange? Before you die, let me make it clear to you. I killed your 4 companions a long time ago. The Divine Emperor Yuqin is my companion. I tricked you a little and you fell for it. How stupid. Yi Tianyun told the truth as he attacked. When Celestial Venerable Southern Ming heard this, he was immediately overcome with anger, and his aura immediately became chaotic. After knowing the truth, he especially wanted to vomit blood. The result of the error in the information was the death of 9 Celestial Venerables, including himself. No Divine Realm expert would be able to bear such a price easily. It was really too much of a blow. Bastard! Celestial Venerable Southern Ming roared angrily, and his attacks suddenly intensified. He smashed forward in a frenzy, wanting to perish together with Yi Tianyun. He began to frantically burn the power of the planet in his body, and his body began to collapse bit by bit. This was the effect of going all out. Now's the time. Yi Tianyun's eyes turned cold. Taking advantage of the moment when he was enraged, he found a gap in the defense and swung his spear over, easily piercing through the defense formed by the 2 Empyrean spirit treasures and directly hitting Celestial Venerable Southern Ming. He wanted to anger Celestial Venerable Southern Ming, who had been in a defensive state. Even with his current strength, it would take some time before he could break through. Now that he was angered, the other party immediately turned into an offensive state. So what if he went all out? He instantly found his weakness and swung his spear over, killing him in one blow. It's over while you're distracted. Yi Tianyun stared at the stiff celestial venerable Southern Ming and said indifferently, your sacred peak divine realm will definitely lose in the divine realm battle. No, it's you who will lose. Celestial venerable Southern Ming laughed in the end. Even if he dies, he will not compromise with anyone. Yi Tianyun didn't say much. He swung his spear and drew a perfect end to this battle. Boom! Celestial venerable Southern Ming's body directly exploded, turning into countless dust and disappearing into the void, fusing with the dark void. Ding! Successfully killed Celestial venerable Southern Ming, received 115,000 compressed EXP, 3,000 compressed crazy point, 3,000 SPs, obtained Southern Ming spirit treasure, Southern Ming divine art, sacred peak divine realm global information record. Successfully killed a celestial venerable, received an additional 50,000 compressed EXP. Their cultivation techniques and spirit treasures are named after their title. When they cultivate to the level of celestial venerable, some of them begin to create their own martial arts, so what they drop is the same as their name. Sacred Peak Divine Realm Global Information Record. This is not the first time these information records about the Sacred Peak Divine Realm dropped. The ones that dropped before were about cultivators. He had already opened them long ago, and they were all very detailed records. From these information records, he can see the whole picture of the Sacred Peak Divine Realm. After reading, he knew that the Sacred Peak Divine Realm is full of confidence. There are really a lot of strong people. Just the Divine Monarch level, there are already more than 100. As for the Celestial Venerable level, there are as many as a dozen. Of course, after he killed 9 celestial venerables, the entire Sacred Peak Divine Realm is at the bottom, it can be said to be half destroyed. As for how to gather the other celestial venerables, it depends on their ability. I wonder how they will feel when they know that they are all dead. Yi Tianyun showed a trace of a sneer. For these divine realms that colluded with the Death God realm and the Evil Spirit realm, he doesn't like them at all, only full of disgust. Moreover, they want to forcibly suppress the Heavenly Spring Divine Realm, no matter what. He is the Deputy Domain Lord of the Heavenly Spring Divine Realm. After cleaning them up, Yi Tianyun went back very satisfied and waited for the rest of the news. At the moment when Celestial Venerable Southern Ming was killed, the eyes of the Divine Emperor Yuqin in the Sacred Peak Divine Realm lit up. She immediately felt that the connection with Celestial Venerable Southern Ming was cut off. He really killed them. The Divine Emperor Yuqin was shocked. She thought that it would take a long time, but it didn't take long for the elders to be killed. Chapter 1391. The reason the Divine Emperor Yuqin could deceive everyone so easily was largely because the other heavenly venerates didn't have any slaves. Even if they did, they would have been sent out. They didn't know about their deaths for the time being, unlike heavenly venerate Southern Deep, who had sworn oaths. Of course, these elders wouldn't casually swear oaths to others. Only existences with a higher cultivation base or people of value would swear oaths. The rest would be left to their subordinates to manage. They only needed to swear oaths of loyalty to important subordinates. Their plan had succeeded by exploiting this loophole. Otherwise, they would be finished if they were seen through. After all, as long as their master died, they would immediately sense it. Now that the Divine Emperor Yuqin had sensed it, she had to leave even though she was injured. Once they found out, she would definitely be dead. Not long after she left, news of Heavenly Venerate Southern Deep's death spread. Many god generals had sworn oaths to Heavenly Venerate Southern Deep. Hence, they immediately sensed Heavenly Venerate Southern Deep's death. One by one, they gathered. The Sacred Peak's main hall was filled with a heavy atmosphere. When they learned of Heavenly Venerate Southern Deep's death, they immediately felt that something was wrong. It was very likely that they had all been wiped out. If Heavenly Venerate Southern Deep was dead, how much better could the other Heavenly Venerates be? The 9 Heavenly Venerates might have already given up. A heavenly venerate on the side had a cold expression. His tone was even colder, like a cold abyss that made everyone feel incomparable fear. These were 9 heavenly venerates, not 9 god lords, and definitely not 9 Lord of Heaven. If it had been 9 Lord of Heaven or god lords, they wouldn't have felt anything. If they were dead, so be it. Now that 9 of their main combat power had died, the significance was completely different. Yes, losing 9 heavenly venerates basically means that the Sacred Peak Sacred Domain's forces have been cut in half. If this continues, it will be difficult for the Sacred Peak Sacred Domain to gain an advantage in this Sacred Domain battle. Sacred Peak Sacred Domain Master, your performance has really disappointed us. The heavenly venerates that came down from the inner Sacred Domain all had ugly expressions. Initially, they thought that they would be able to save the Elder from before. However, not only did they fail to save the Elder, they even lost a group of people. This situation made it hard for them to feel happy. If the previous 4 Empyreans had only lost 1 arm, then now they would have lost both arms and a leg. 9 Empyreans, including the extremely powerful Great Elder, how could they not feel angry? It must be the myriad heaven divine realm. That's why they ambushed all the Empyreans there, that's why this sort of situation could happen. The Sacred Peak Domain Master was enraged. He was completely enraged. He stood up from his chair and said angrily, "Let's attack them now and destroy them." What did you say? These heavenly venerables stared coldly at the Sacred Peak Domain leader. Just one look was enough to weaken the Sacred Peak Domain leader, and he did not dare to say another word. Seeing that the Sacred Peak Protectorate leader had calmed down, the heavenly venerables said coldly, "Now, no matter what happens, we have to endure it. Let's wait for the Divine Realm War to begin. If we continue to rush over, we'll fall into a trap and waste our men." It wasn't that they didn't want revenge, but revenge would ruin things. If they continued to rush over, it would be equivalent to walking into the other party's trap, putting themselves in an even more disadvantageous situation. Think about it, the divine realm of the 3 realms might have set up an inescapable net, and most of the myriad heaven divine realms forces might be lying in ambush there. Unless they attacked with all their might, they would be defeated. Therefore, they could only choose to calm down and wait for the divine realm war to begin. That would be the best time for revenge. Yes, yes. The Sacred Peak Domain Master gradually calmed down. He had always been a hot-tempered person, and he would definitely take revenge on anyone who dared to touch his reverse scale. But now, he could not vent his anger. He could only wait for the Divine Realm War to begin before he could fight. Speaking of which, how did that girl escape alive? Capture her and carefully interrogate her and search her soul. One of the heavenly venerables immediately felt that something was wrong. Yes. The guards immediately went to capture the Divine Emperor Yuqin. A moment later, the guard returned and said hurriedly, "Sir, the Divine Emperor Yuqin has disappeared. We have no idea where he went." As expected. The heavenly venerables crushed the jade cup in his hand. The other heavenly venerables immediately realized what was going on. A trap. Everything was a trap. They did not suspect much at the time, but now it seemed that it was all a scam. How sad. I didn't expect something like this to happen. I was too careless. Everyone present had fallen for this scam, and they felt extremely ashamed and resentful. They were heavenly venerables, but they had been played like this. How could it not be sad? When the Divine Realm War begins, we must destroy the Divine Realm of the 3 realms and the myriad heaven Divine Realm. One of the heavenly venerables' eyes were cold. No matter what, they had to destroy the Divine Realm of the 3 realms and completely flatten it. As for the myriad heaven Divine Realm, they had taken the blame for Tianyun. They did not do anything at all, but instead were made the scapegoat. It could only be said that this was the only thing they could think of. How could a first-grade divine realm defeat 9 heavenly venerables without the support of a powerful force? In fact, there was really no need. In the divine realm of the 3 realms, Tianyun had been waiting to see if there were any other powerhouses attacking. Killing 9 heavenly venerables, the experience gained is really not bad. It's enough for me to level up several levels. Yi Tianyun smiled. The harvest was really quite rich. Just the heavenly venerables alone, he had obtained more than 9 pieces, and that was not counting the other treasures. All accumulated, it was definitely a shocking amount of wealth. But they probably won't dare to continue coming. If they come again, they'll have to mobilize external forces. Yi Tianyun sneered and said, I'm quite looking forward to their appearance. Only by earning more experience can we have a chance of winning this battle. If his cultivation broke through to the heavenly venerable level, then the divine realm war would basically be a sure win. Just imagine, reaching the heavenly venerable level and erupting with 128 times the strength, who could resist it? Yi Tianyun raised his eyebrows and quickly disappeared on the spot. The next moment, he appeared at the edge of the divine realm of the 3 realms. At this time, a figure slowly flew over. It was the Divine Emperor Yuqin. She was currently flying over with injuries, and her face was pale. She had just recovered a little, and she was about to forcefully fly over. You're injured. Yi Tianyun quickly flew over and arrived in front of the Divine Emperor Yuqin. You're here. The Divine Emperor Yuqin smiled and directly fell into his arms. Chapter 1392. It was obvious that Sir God Yuqin had chosen to hurt herself, which was why she had ended up like this. After all, the Divine Emperor Yuqin didn't have any problems when he went back. Instead, he came back with many old injuries. He didn't think that the sacred peak celestial realm had caused this. If they had treated her like this, she wouldn't have been able to escape. She didn't have the ability to teleport like Yi Tianyun. If she was caught, she wouldn't have been able to escape. So that's the plan. Yi Tianyun shook his head. However, it was all worth it. If it wasn't like this, it would be hard to deceive them. Think about it, if she went back in one piece, who would believe her words? Therefore, she would definitely choose to go back with serious injuries. However, it would be difficult to control the degree. Now, it seemed that she had grasped the degree very well. She had successfully deceived a lot of heavenly venerables. Then, Yi Tianyun brought the Divine Emperor Yuqin to Shi Shuiyan's side and said, help me treat her. She's seriously injured. Which family did you bring back this time? Or is it a sister? Shi Shuiyan teased when she saw the Divine Emperor Yuqin. This is a great hero. It's not a sister or a sister. Yi Tianyun coughed awkwardly. Leave it to me. Shi Shuiyan immediately brought the Divine Emperor Yuqin to treat his injuries. It wasn't convenient for Yi Tianyun to take care of him, so he asked his wife to do so. After giving instructions, Shi Shuiyan walked over and said, her injuries are quite serious. She wasn't attacked. It was quite fierce. What happened? Actually, these injuries were caused by herself, Yi Tianyun said honestly. Caused by herself? Shi Shuiyan was puzzled. Shortly after, Yi Tianyun began to explain the situation. After explaining the general situation, Shi Shuiyan was shocked. The main thing was that several Empyreans had died at the hands of Yi Tianyun. This was incomparably shocking. At the same time, he was filled with admiration for the Divine Emperor Yuqin's actions. It was not easy to come up with such a plan. If it's really dangerous, why didn't you tell me? Shi Shuiyan rolled her eyes at him, her beautiful eyes filled with worry. She did not know how strong a celestial venerable's cultivation was, but when she felt the power of a divine lord, she knew that it was quite heaven-defying. Now that Yi Tianyun was facing 9 Empyreans, how could he not feel the pressure multiply? Well, I didn't want you to worry. Now, everything is fine. I've taken care of everything, Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Shi Shuiyan's eyes reddened, and she threw herself into his arms. I know what kind of enemies you have been facing. I can't help you with anything. I can only help you maintain the situation here. Her cultivation was no match for Yi Tianyun. No matter how much she cultivated, no matter how crazy she was, it was useless. Instead, the gap between them was getting bigger and bigger. Sai, what are you thinking about? This is my foundation. If it weren't for you guys maintaining this place, it would have collapsed long ago. You guys have contributed a lot. If it were me, this place would have collapsed already. Yi Tianyun smiled. That's why I said don't think too much. I'm not comforting you. It's the truth. These words were not nonsense. He did not understand management. Hence, he could only keep looking for talents to manage. Now, it proved that he had a good eye. He could find a bunch of geniuses who could help him manage. If it weren't for their help, it would have been very difficult for him to complete his mission. It could be said that they had contributed a lot. None of them were vases. They were all extremely capable. In terms of cultivation, who could compare to him? His speed of cultivation was too fast. No one could compare to him. Shi Xueyun did not say much. If she said too much, it would be too pretentious. There was no one who did not want to roam the world with their Tao companion, fighting and killing together. After comforting her for a while, Yi Tianyun said softly, "It's about time. It's time to announce that we will be participating in the God Realm battle." Announcing it so soon? Shi Xueyun was surprised. Almost. There's not much time left. There are only a few decades left. Time will pass in the blink of an eye. We need a lot of time to prepare. Yi Tianyun said. Indeed, we need a lot of time to prepare. We also need to give them some time to accept. Shi Xueyun shook her head. She did not know if it would cause chaos if she said it out loud. A Grade 1 God Realm participating in the God Realm battle, how could it not cause chaos? Don't worry, they will accept it easily. The corners of Yi Tianyun's mouth curled into a confident smile. Following that, Yi Tianyun announced in a clear voice, "Let me tell everyone something. Our God Realm of the Three Realms will be participating in the God Realm battle." Yes, you did not hear wrongly. We will be participating in the God Realm battle. This is an easy God Realm battle. The winner will become the king of a generation and obtain the highest glory. The loser will be destroyed, and no one will remember them. There are still 20 to 30 years until the God Realm battle. This is not a long time. Now, I will give everyone a chance to think about it. Will you choose to fight with me, or will you choose to leave? It's all up to you. I will not stop you. His voice covered the entire God Realm of the Three Realms, allowing everyone to hear it. With his cultivation, he could not do this. However, with the help of a large array, he could transmit the message. This was specially made by the Divine Spirit race. It could easily transmit any message to every planet. When the crowd heard this, they were all stunned. They were even more dumbfounded. They had never thought that the God Realm of the Three Realms would be participating in the God Realm battle. They had been here for a long time, and they had all heard about this. This was a matter for Grade 3 God Realms. Grade 1 God Realms could only stand aside. Now that they were participating, it was unbelievable. Crazy, he's really crazy. Isn't the Heavenly Cloud Territorial Lord afraid that everyone will run away? Yes, a Grade 1 God Realm trying to reach Grade 3 God Realm is simply courting death. If they say it out, they will run away. Yes. They shouldn't say it out. They should just participate in the God Realm battle. That way, they won't run away. Many disciples and elders who had just joined the Heavenly Spring Sacred Realm were dumbfounded. They felt that Yi Tianyun was being too reckless. This would definitely lead to a riot. Not to mention a riot, many people would definitely run away. If it were them, they would choose not to say it out. When they were participating in the God Realm battle, it would be too late to run away. They could only choose to resist. If they succeeded in forcing them to participate, they would not hate each other. If they failed, then hatred would be useless. Everything would be gone. Who would they hate? Chapter 1393. The cultivators of the heavenly spring divine realm shook their heads, thinking that it was too reckless. When they joined the divine realm, the elders were convinced. But that didn't mean that the other cultivators were convinced. After all, there were many things that they had yet to see. How could a grade 2 god realm join a grade 1 god realm? Now that Yi Tianyun had made such a decision, they felt that it was extremely reckless and brainless. Isn't the Heavenly Cloud Territory ruler's announcement a bit too hasty? Elder Go Huang and the others had mixed feelings in their eyes. They thought Yi Tianyun was too hasty, and it was easy for him to lose control. The rest of the elders nodded in agreement. Even though they were aware of Yi Tianyun's strength, and felt that he was very strong, the other cultivators were different. They were worried about their own safety, and they were even more afraid of a grade 3 god realm. All of them were terrified. They didn't even have the will to fight. How could they fight? He lost before the fight even started. Not at all. The glazed region lord smiled faintly and said, I don't think it's very sloppy. Since he chose to announce it, he has absolute confidence in himself. Moreover, with his personality, he would never lie to his subordinates. He would announce everything. The words of the glazed region master made them silent. They did not refute, but they felt that something must have gone wrong. They had never seen a god domain with such absolute unity. His words immediately caused an uproar. Participate in the Divine Realm War. Heavens, we're going to participate in the Divine Realm War. Since the Heavenly Cloud's great emperor has decided to participate, let's give it our all. Yes. If the Heavenly Cloud's great emperor isn't afraid, why should we be? But my children and my wife's cultivation bases are relatively weak. What should I do? What are you afraid of? We can move out. The Heavenly Cloud's great emperor didn't say that everyone must participate, and the rest could just leave. This glory, we will definitely take it. Yes. The Heavenly Cloud's great emperor has taken care of us so much, it's time for us to contribute. But our cultivations are too low. How can we help by participating in the Divine Realm War? What's there to be afraid of? Since the Heavenly Cloud's great emperor thinks it's possible, then it's definitely possible. I've always looked forward to the Battle of Gods. If it weren't for the Heavenly Cloud's great emperor, I wouldn't have been able to participate in it for the rest of my life. All of them wanted to participate in the Divine Realm War and serve Yi Tianyun. It could be said that their worship of Yi Tianyun had reached the extreme. After getting along for a while, the other forces were also very loyal. The main reason was that this place was fair enough, and the treatment was even more generous. It was much better than before. Since he had treated them so well, they would naturally repay him in kind. Would Great Emperor, Cloud since realm were, they, and, they could, they would be, and Cloud's great. All, they would choose to participate. Soon, the enthusiasm of many cultivators was transmitted to him. Almost, they all, the god realm's king many too great. Most, were to participate battle. The war had world too great realm to. One realm, many people to disciples great realm to cultivators to world. After all, if they announced that they would participate in the battle of God's realm, it was tantamount to declaring war on all the third-grade god realms. If any third-grade god realm attacked and destroyed them in advance, it would be a tragedy. However, there was no loss for these people to leave. They had just joined the god realm not long ago, so their loyalty was naturally low. Elder, the situation of the god realm of the three realms. The guard who came in was shocked, and he was speechless. What is the situation of the god realm of the three realms now? Did a lot of cultivators leave? Elder Go Huang and the others had a look of certainty on their faces. No. Basically, they didn't leave. Those who left are the ones who joined recently. None of them chose to leave. All of them are very enthusiastic and support the heavenly cloud's great realm's decision. The guards were shocked when they heard the news. Many of them had even placed bets on whether they would run half of the race or more than half of it. Who knew that no one would leave? All of them chose to stay and support Yi Tianyun's decision. What? The elders were dumbfounded, and they wondered if they heard it wrong. Are you sure you didn't leave, but stayed here all the time? We are sure they didn't leave. They are very enthusiastic and excited, and they worship the heavenly cloud's great realm. The guards had a strange look on their faces. They didn't know what kind of charm Yi Tianyun had to achieve such an effect. This is too exaggerated, too exaggerated. The elders sat in their chairs, and their eyes were still filled with disbelief. As I said, since he announced it, he must have his own confidence. Lioli Great Realm Master smiled, but he was still very shocked. They really didn't leave. There was no one in the entire God realm who had this kind of cohesiveness. Many forces chose to stay because they were too powerful. Under the situation where first-grade God realms were hitting a rock with an egg, they still chose to stay. They were really too loyal. However, this loyalty was built on many conditions. If Yi Tianyun didn't treat them well, they would have already left. On Yi Tianyun's side, after hearing the news, he smiled and said, I told you, they definitely won't leave. Shi Shuiyun was shocked. Although she had been in charge of this place for a long time, she still thought that most of them would leave when faced with this kind of thing. Who knew they didn't leave? It seems that your charm is too great, Tianyun. You have completely locked their hearts. Shi Shuiyun smiled and said. No, it is because of your help that I can be so confident. Yi Tianyun smiled and said something that Shi Shuiyun didn't quite understand. The main reason why Yi Tianyun could be so confident was that they were extremely loyal, and they definitely wouldn't choose to leave. This was all created under the management of Shi Shuiyun. For example, the construction of statues, all kinds of rewards, etc., were all in the name of Yi Tianyun. This way, they would feel grateful, and from then on, they would become more and more loyal to Yi Tianyun. Shi Shuiyun and the others couldn't see the degree of loyalty, but Yi Tianyun could see it. That was why he was so confident. If not for this, he wouldn't have dared to announce it in a hurry. If more than half of them left, it would be a huge loss. Although they wouldn't be needed in many situations, the structure of the force couldn't be done without them. Is that so? Are we that useful? Shi Shuiyun shook her head in disbelief. Chapter 1394. Shi Shuiyun and the others had never imagined that the divine realm of the three realms would be so stable. This scene shocked the entire Heavenly Spring divine realm. While they were shocked, they also felt that they weren't united enough. The gap between them was too big. Thinking back to the time when they wanted to join a Grade 1 God realm or relocate, a large group of cultivators left one after another. What kind of cohesiveness was that? Compared to the three realms God realm, it was nothing. In terms of overall strength, a Grade 2 God realm was undeniably stronger. But now, in comparison, it was a pile of dregs. No matter how strong one's overall strength was, without cohesiveness, it would not belong to them. Who knows, they might become someone else's disciple in the next moment. It was to the extent that they were used to this kind of situation, so they substituted this situation for other forces. Now, he had been slapped in the face, and it was not a light slap either. Previously, they had said that many of them would definitely leave. Now, it seemed like it was just their wishful thinking. When the God realm of the three realms announced that they would be participating in the God realm battle, it immediately caused a huge uproar. This news spread to the surrounding God realms, and at the same time, it rapidly spread to the second and third grade God realms. Soon, the reputation of the three realms' divine realm, which was already a little famous, exploded. However, there was nothing but mockery. There was no praise at all. Basically, it was those who felt that the three realms' God realm were overestimating themselves, or that they were throwing eggs at a rock, or that they were courting death. None of the God realm thought highly of them. The Grade 1 God realms that had allied themselves with Tianyun were so frightened that they announced that they would no longer be participating in the God realm war. Allies would naturally choose to leave in the face of danger. Tianyun did not blame them. As long as they did not invade, it did not matter who their allies were. After all, even a Grade 2 God realm expert would choose to leave the alliance. The God realm battle was too frightening. A Grade 1 God realm cultivator didn't even have the qualifications to be cannon fodder, so how were they supposed to participate? It would be troublesome if a Grade 3 God realm mistook them for being on the same side. Tianyun wanted to die, but they didn't. However, there was one sacred land that did not choose to leave the alliance, and that was the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Land. Not only did they not leave the alliance, but they also sent someone over to talk. This time, both the Heavenly Mandate Region Lord and Nyen Siu came in person. After they came in, they all bowed respectfully. Greetings, Lioli Region Lord, Tianyun Region Lord. The Heavenly Mandate Region Lord came in person, and as soon as he arrived, he stated his purpose of coming. This time, I'm here to form an alliance and participate in the Battle of the Divine Zones together. We will transfer our forces and join the God realm of the three realms. We hope that you can accommodate our disciples. The resources of the Heavenly Mandate Divine Realm were limited, and it was estimated that only 1 or 2 planets could be moved, and that was the limit. As for the rest, there was no way he could teleport them. The resources were simply too lacking. It was impossible for him to teleport them over like a Grade 2 God domain. Tianyun squinted at the Heavenly Mandate Region Lord and the others. They must have heard about the Heavenly Spring Divine Realm and wanted to join the Divine Realm of the three realms. We're going to participate in the Battle of God's Domain. Are you sure you want to join us now? Tianyun asked again. Region Master Lioli didn't say anything. Everything here was managed by Tianyun. They had no right to intervene. Yes, this is the time to join us. We hope to participate in the Battle of God's Domain together and participate in this battle of honor. The Heavenly Mandate Region Lord's eyes were shining. We believe that the Divine Realm of the three realms will win in the end. Are you trying to flatter me? Tianyun smiled. What a nice thing to say. Even he didn't dare to say it, but the Heavenly Mandate Region Lord dared to say it. No, no. The Heavenly Mandate Region Lord was extremely embarrassed, but he did mean to flatter them. How could he not flatter these warriors? Alright, since you're so determined, I'll let you join us. Hurry up and move your forces here. There's not much time left. Tianyun waved his hand and didn't say anything else. If they wanted to join, they could join. He was more than happy to do so. He had been planning to rope in some divine zones, but now, the Heavenly Mandate Divine Realm had joined them. He didn't know the reason, but it was good to have more of such situations. Soon, the Heavenly Mandate Region Lord and the others left and immediately went to move their forces. After they left, the Lioli Region Lord said, Actually, I asked them to join us, but after they heard it, they didn't ask why and immediately chose to join us. Huh? Tianyun was puzzled. Why? There's no reason. I think you can pass the Battle of God's Domain, and I've always felt that the Heavenly Mandate Divine Realm is loyal, so I asked them to join us and promote them. The situation of the Heavenly Mandate Divine Realm is not bad, and their overall strength is not bad. They can be strengthened if they join us, the Lioli Region Lord said with a smile. Tianyun was stunned. He looked her up and down and said, How come I didn't know that I could win? Sister Lioli, how did you know? It's just a hunch. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with taking a gamble, don't you think? The Lioli Region Lord smiled slightly. A woman's intuition was quite terrifying, especially a strong woman with strong cultivation. The main reason was that the Lioli Region Lord had seen too many miracles. Maybe she would succeed this time. Anyway, they had no way out, so they might as well take a gamble. Well, I hope we can win. Tianyun said with a smile. Soon, the heavenly mandate divine realm moved over. They didn't bring many warriors, and those who were willing to join were few. Facing the battle of the divine realm, they all ran away. It was quite miserable. Only the divine realm of the three realms had always been strong, so strong that when other divine realms knew about it, they all felt inferior. When the third grade divine realm knew about it, they all expressed their disdain. So what if they were strong? A first grade divine realm was a first grade divine realm. No matter how strong the cohesion was, without strong power, it was trash. Ding, successfully let a first grade divine realm join your force. Obtained 500 points of compressed experience and 500 points of compressed proficiency. At the same time, I am the region lord has been slightly tripled in power. Only tripled in power, Tianyun frowned. It seemed that if the grade was too low, the effect would be reduced. In this way, if a third grade divine realm joined him. However, it was impossible for a third grade divine realm to join him, unless the divine realm of the three realms was third grade. Now, all that was left was to wait for the time to come. With a little preparation, they would be facing the most terrifying battle of the divine realm. Once it started, it would be a massacre. Chapter 1395. Those who survived were the winners. This wasn't just nonsense. If a large number of second or third grade god realm forces were destroyed, then the first grade god realms could move to a better area to cultivate. This was equivalent to winning and reaping a large sum of benefits. They could also enjoy the various resources of a second grade god realm. Some of the cultivation areas would not be destroyed, and were even ready-made. This situation had been recorded in previous god realm wars. Those who were luckier would have a huge leap in strength. Time passed quickly. Just when many god realms thought the three realms god realm would be destroyed by the third grade god realm, nothing happened at all. This shocked them. They didn't know what was going on, but the third grade god realm didn't go and destroy an arrogant god realm. This was too unexpected. Could it be that the third grade god realm didn't want to bother with a first grade god realm? But according to this statement, it was impossible. In the past, anyone who dared to say such nonsense would be an enemy. Any random grade 3 god realm cultivator who could not stand such an arrogant god realm cultivator would immediately send someone to annihilate them. Now that nothing had happened to him, they were all very curious. Even so, no other first or second grade god realms said they would participate in the god realm war. They didn't have the ability and wouldn't do something so stupid. These first and second grade god realms didn't know much, but third grade god realms were different. For example, a few heavenly venerables never came out after going to the three realms god realm. Just this point was terrifying. If it were any other first or second grade god realm, they would have been destroyed immediately. But the three realms god realm didn't dare to act recklessly. Interesting. I didn't expect our myriad heaven god realm to take the blame. The three realms god realm has nothing to do with us, but the outside world says it's related to us. Domain Lord Wantian rubbed his chin. The elders below started discussing. Compared to the sacred peak god realm, the myriad heaven god realm had 8 or 9 heavenly venerables. As for the inner god realm, there were also quite a few. Domain Lord Wantian, why don't we send someone to check it out, or kill them? Or should we announce to the outside world that it has nothing to do with us? One of the elders suggested. Announce to the outside world that it has nothing to do with us. Do you think they'll believe us? Domain Master Wantian was a middle-aged man with an extremely handsome appearance. He was from the illusion god tribe and his bloodline power was ranked at the top. His cultivation was at the late-stage middle heavenly venerable realm, which was considered quite powerful. I don't think so. The elder smiled awkwardly. If it was him, he wouldn't believe it either. It's good that you know. We'll have to pay a high price to destroy them. Why don't we send someone to communicate and offer them the best conditions to them? Since everyone thinks that we're related, we might as well let them think so. Domain Lord Wan Tian waved his hand. Everyone, eyes lit up. It would be good if they could. God. That's great. Let's do it that way. Everyone nodded, feeling that this was the right thing to do. Since he was going to be the scapegoat, he might as well let it be. Soon, they sent people to the Three Realms Divine Realm. Yi Tianyun also sensed their arrival, but he didn't pay attention to them because they didn't have any hostility. God, realm guards, they were spirit. They were at domain. They were at realm. Yi Tianyun already knew their identity. Nothing could be hidden from his appraisal eye. Well, where are you from? Yi Tianyun already knew the identity of the other party, and with his appraisal eye, everything was exposed. I'm from the domain. Yi Tianyun already knew the envoy's identity. I am an envoy from the Myriad Heaven Divine Realm. The reason why the Myriad Heaven Domain Lord sent me here is to discuss the situation of cooperation. This envoy's attitude was still rather respectful, and not very arrogant. This was the difference in strength. The domain of the Three Realms had always been overbearing. How could they treat them as equals? What kind of cooperation? Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes. He had expected that the Myriad Heaven Divine Realm would send someone to negotiate with him, but he was still the scapegoat. They would either cooperate with him or fall out with him. There was no doubt they would choose the former. It's simple. We hope you can join Domain Lord Wan Tian of Cloud Domain and participate in the Battle of the Divine Realms. You'll have a chance to go to the Inner Divine Realm. If not, we'll take care of you in the Inner Divine Realm. We won't mistreat you, the envoy said with a smile. As for how the core of the token would determine if they were on their side, it was still up for discussion. They would have a chance if they joined a few decades earlier. Whether or not they would be able to go together was another matter. Thank you for your invitation, but we don't plan to join any forces, Yi Tianyun rejected with a smile. What a joke. Joining Domain Lord Wan Tian was not his style. Moreover, they might not even be able to reach the top. If they were able to reach the top, it would be fine even if they teamed up. The key thing was that the chances were very slim. The envoy's smile froze. We're from Domain Lord Wan Tian. I know Domain Lord Wan Tian of Cloud Domain is powerful, but in the Battle of the Divine Realms, we need comprehensive strength. Our Myriad Heaven God Realm will be able to provide very good protection for this. No need. We've already decided not to join any forces. If you want to join us, I welcome you, Yi Tianyun said with a smile. You're really not going to consider it? The outside world is in an uproar. Everyone says that you're related to us, and that you're only able to maintain your current status because of our protection. If we announce to the outside world that you have nothing to do with us, you can imagine the consequences. The envoy was extremely dissatisfied. A rank 1 divine realm was actually so arrogant and unwilling to join them. He really didn't know how to appreciate favors. Alright, you can announce it to the outside world. I don't mind at all. Yi Tianyun shrugged indifferently. He didn't care about that at all. The envoy was stunned. He didn't expect Yi Tianyun to be so decisive. It scared him. Alright. The envoy could only choose to give up. Since Yi Tianyun had already said so, what else could he do? He could only go back and tell the Domain Lord that he refused to join Domain Lord Wan Tian of Cloud Domain. The envoy then left. Yi Tianyun watched him leave and said with a smile, recruitment. I can win this battle, why should I join other forces? Chapter 1396. When the Myriad Sky Sacred Region's emissary returned with the news, the elders were enraged. The sacred region of the Three Realms is too arrogant. How dare they reject our invitation? They were all indignant, feeling that the sacred region of the Three Realms was too arrogant. How dare a first-grade god realm act so arrogantly in front of them? So what if we refuse? What can you do? The Myriad Sky Domain leader said calmly. They were speechless, not knowing what to say. What could they do if they really refused? Could they send a large group of people to destroy the sacred region of the three realms? Of course, that was impossible. The Sacred Peak sacred region had already sent a large group of powerhouses, but there was no news. If they forcibly attacked, even if they won, there would be casualties on their side. This was not something they wanted to see. If we can't do anything, then stay here obediently and prepare for the Sacred Realm battle. The Myriad Sky Domain leader said coldly. When the time comes, we will wipe out all forces that stand in our way, be it the Sacred Peak sacred region or the Three Realms sacred region. Yes. They did not continue to dwell on this matter. All their strength would only be truly valuable when the time came. Even if they had to sacrifice themselves, it would only be valuable when the time came. Sacrificing themselves now would be a waste of time and life. Time passed quickly, and everything was peaceful. At least the Three Realms sacred region did not have any trouble at all. Everything went according to plan. Yi Tianyun focused on alchemy, refining large batches of elixirs and strengthening the divine seals of the major planets. At the same time, this was also a form of cultivation. He wanted to improve his soul strength to the heavenly venerable level. He did not want his soul strength to remain the same even after his cultivation level increased. That would be quite troublesome. In the blink of an eye, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, time passed quickly. It was getting closer to the Sacred Realm battle. All the powerhouses were on edge. Almost all the sacred realms were on edge, waiting for the Sacred Realm battle to begin. The third-grade god realms were worried about the location of the token core, while the first-grade god realms were worried about the location of the token core. The difference was that the third-grade god realms were worried about the location of the token core, while the first-grade god realms were worried about the location of the token core. Soon, Yi Tianyun looked up at the sky. He also had a feeling that the token's core would appear soon. However, it was not clear where he would appear. However, no matter where it appeared, he would be able to snatch it with the fastest speed possible. During this period of time, he wasn't just staying here. Instead, he was heading to the vicinity of the various divine territories to obtain teleportation coordinates. This way, he could directly teleport over and easily snatch it. Swish, 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 suddenly, a group of figures appeared in the void. Yi Tianyun raised his head to look at the sky and saw a group of people breaking through the void. He smiled. Region Master Glaze and the others on the side were stunned. The cultivation of this group of people was very strong. Among them, there were 3 whose auras made it hard for them to breathe. Don't be nervous, they are all my senior brothers. Yi Tianyun smiled. Senior brother? They were startled. They had never heard of a senior brother coming to help them. They had only heard that Yi Tianyun would have a powerhouse helping him, but they didn't expect it to be his senior brother. 3 Empyrean-level senior apprentice brothers. This situation made them feel somewhat shocked. Then, they thought about how Yi Tianyun could break through so quickly. Was it related to this sect? The cultivators who broke through the void were the 3 senior brothers. As they were preparing for the Divine Domain War, they naturally followed their previous promise and quickly came here to make preparations. Little junior brother, we came to help. These are all my disciples. I called all of them to help. Empyrean Sword Ruler and the others smiled. They had brought a large group of divine monarchs, and each of them looked extraordinary. Many thanks for the help, senior brothers. Yi Tianyun cupped his hands in gratitude. No need to be so polite. We already agreed. Empyrean Sword Ruler was still the most talkative. As for the other 2 senior brothers, they only smiled and didn't say anything. No matter what, I am very grateful that senior brothers came to help. Yi Tianyun said with a smile. At this time, Empyrean Force stood up and solemnly said, there are still 2 days. 2 days later, the token core will definitely appear. The problem now is which region it will appear in. This is the biggest problem. According to the usual situation, it will appear near a grade 3 god domain. It will not appear near a grade 1 god domain. This means that you are in a passive situation from the start. Why don't you head to the grade 2 or grade 3 god domains and wait there? They had already accurately calculated the number of days. It was just that the location was not very clear. Everything depended on luck. The stronger one's luck, the closer they would be to the core. Generally, grade 3 god domain forces had stronger luck. Naturally, they would be closer to them. There is no need to head to a grade 3 or grade 1 god domain. Yi Tianyun smiled confidently and said, in terms of luck, I am not worse than anyone. Yi Tianyun's confidence made them speechless. Could he not be so confident? It was undeniable that Yi Tianyun's luck was definitely not bad. But compared to the entire god domain, the difference was too great. Cough cough, since junior apprentice brother is so confident, then stay here. Empyrean Sword C smiled and said, anyway, we have a month. In this 1 month, it will depend on junior apprentice brother's ability. In any case, they would stay here. If Yi Tianyun did not obtain it, then they could only wait for the next Divine Realm battle. In theory, they did not want Yi Tianyun to participate in the Divine Realm battle. But since Yi Tianyun was so stubborn, they could only let him do as he pleased. Yi Tianyun didn't say anything more, he's confident, he's not just talking nonsense. As time slowly passed, everyone stared at the sky. When the token core appeared, something would immediately happen. At that time, they would be able to sense where it was. Therefore, they all stayed outside, looking at the void outside. Soon, 2 days were almost up. The closer it was to time, the more nervous they became. At this time, Yi Tianyun smiled and activated his luck halo. After the powerful luck halo was activated, his originally amazing luck value was stacked up crazily. His entire body was glowing faintly. Buzz! After a moment, a large light appeared in the void. Following that, a token core appeared in the sky, looking very dazzling. Chapter 1397. No one had expected that the core of the token would appear right above them. There was no need for them to go to a grade 2 or grade 3 god realm. It was enough for them to stay here. However, this situation made their faces twitch, and they felt that it was very strange. Especially when they thought of Yi Tianyun's confidence, they thought that Yi Tianyun was overconfident or was trying to comfort himself. Who knew that the core of the token would appear right here? There was really nothing to worry about. God! What bullshit luck! It's all bullshit. This is the most heaven-defying thing. Heavenly Cloud Territorial Lord, did you figure out that the core of the token would appear here? That's why you occupied the Chaos Dominion and waited here. Little junior brother, they are right. Did you really figure it out? They were all dumbfounded by the scene in front of them. They could only figure out how long it would take, but they could never figure out where the core of the token would appear. Even the vast Heavenly Master could not figure it out, let alone them. No, this is a matter of luck, Yi Tianyun smiled and immediately flew up. He reached out and grabbed the core of the token, and it fell into his hand easily. Soon after, a beam of divine light descended and enveloped his body, which was equivalent to locking him in place. Everyone knew who he was. Is this the core of the token? Yi Tianyun looked at the core of the token in his hand. It looked like a very ordinary token, but it contained a special energy. Yi Tianyun did not know what kind of energy it was, but he could feel that it was extremely terrifying. It was even a level higher than the power of a heavenly master. No matter what kind of energy it was, he only needed to know that this thing could take him to a special environment. Immediately after, Yi Tianyun wanted to take the core of the token to another god realm, or to a remote god realm in Fanyu. He suddenly found that he could not teleport at all. I can't teleport. Yi Tianyun was stunned. It seemed that the power of this thing was too strong. It completely locked onto him, so he could not teleport out of here. He could only fly. He had set up so many teleportation symbols not only to obtain the token's core as quickly as possible, but also to escape quickly. Now that he had obtained the token core easily, it was all thanks to his luck aura. He only felt that there was a high chance, but he didn't think that it would definitely appear above. If he could really appear nearby, he would also want to use the teleportation stone to escape. At the very least, they had to leave this area and not set the main battlefield here. At that time, he would have to face the army alone, but this was the result he wanted. Senior brothers, I'll be leaving first. I'll leave this place to you guys. Tianyun said, turned around and flew out quickly. The three senior brothers were stunned. They thought that Tianyun wouldn't leave and would stay here. From the looks of it, Tianyun wanted to face a group of experts alone. However, they didn't stop him. Since their junior brother had made such a decision, they wouldn't interfere. It should be said that they would only guard this place and not interfere in other matters. Is it luck? This luck is really heaven-defying. They shook their heads and smiled bitterly. Whether it was divine or not, or luck, both were heaven-defying effects. At least, it was beyond their expectations. They thought they would have to fight for it, but now it seemed that there was no need for that. It was directly turned into defending. Tianyun left the Three Realms celestial realm at an extremely fast speed. But no matter where he went, the divine light enveloped him, sticking close to him, not leaving him for even a moment. After he left the Three Realms celestial realm, the Three Realms celestial realm was also enveloped by the divine light, representing his forces. The main force will definitely be lured away. Hopefully, the Three Realms celestial realm will suffer less attacks. Tianyun's eyes were sharp. The celestial realm battle had officially begun. At the same time, the other third-grade celestial realm experts were on edge. When they saw the divine light descending, they were all dumbfounded. The place where the token core landed was actually a first-grade celestial realm. This was something they hadn't anticipated. None of them relied on external forces, all for the sake of maintaining their luck and having a greater chance of appearing near them. But now, it seemed that it was still very far away from them. It was still a first-grade celestial realm. Even a heavenly venerable needed some time to tear through space to get there. The distance between the two was too far. Heavenly venerables could be a little faster, but divine lords and below would need a lot of time. No matter what, they immediately rushed out. Groups of experts swarmed out like bees, leaving their hives one by one. In the celestial realm closer to the Three Realms celestial realm, they were scared to tears. The token core actually appeared in the Three Realms celestial realm. What's going on? The token core appeared in the Three Realms celestial realm? Was this divine? They did not know what to say. Everything was too coincidental. The Chaos Celestial Realm was just occupied, and then the token core appeared here. Everything was locked onto this place. In their opinion, it was really divine. But now they were hurriedly defending or hiding. Soon, this place would become a battlefield. Who would have thought that the token core would appear nearby? And Tianyun kept flying towards Fan Yu. If he stayed in the celestial realm for a month, then he only needed to stay in Fan Yu for 6 days. That was equivalent to a month in the celestial realm. Soon, Tianyun successfully flew out of the first-grade celestial realm and into Fan Yu. When he left the celestial realm, Tianyun immediately felt time passing quickly. But the time flow on the token core did not change. Looks like I was too naive. I thought I could speed up the flow of time. They have already thought of a countermeasure. It's impossible to speed up the flow of time, Tianyun smiled. But this did not matter. His original intention was to leave his celestial realm and draw the flames of war to a remote area. I wonder which celestial realm will be the first to arrive here. Tianyun smiled. His heart was filled with the desire to fight. He was prepared to face the strongest combat power in the entire outer celestial realm. As to how strong this strongest combat power would be, that would depend on what level it would reach. He took out the starry divine spear and held it tightly in his hand. He floated in the void, waiting for the arrival of his opponent. While he was waiting, a large number of experts rushed over. When they found out that the celestial realm that snatched the token was from the three realms celestial realm, they were all dumbfounded. Chapter 1398. The god realm of the three realms had been on fire recently, but many god realms did not view him as an opponent, and only saw him as an opponent with some potential. Who knew that the token core would be snatched away by the god realm of the three realms, leaving them dumbfounded? The great three god realms were on guard against each other, only to discover that it had been snatched away by someone else. They felt that all their efforts had been in vain. Damn it, it was snatched away by a mere grade 1 god realm. Now, he's running to Fan Yu's side with the token. The first to arrive were naturally the stronger Sacred Peak God Realm and Myriad Heaven God Realm. They arrived at the same time. The two great enemies glared at each other, their eyes filled with thick killing intent. But now that the token core was not in their hands, they could not attack even if their killing intent soared to the sky. Now that they were not in the god realm of the three realms, they could only turn their attention to the area where the token core was located, Fan Yu. Their gazes were incomparably cold. After exchanging glances, they charged towards Fan Yu. Since the token core was not here, there was no need for them to stay, and they charged towards Yi Tianyun's side. The token core was the most important. Destroying the faction would not give them a single token core. Hence, the domain lords that had arrived swiftly charged towards the area where Yi Tianyun was, not stopping at all. Logically speaking, as long as one obtained the token core, the best place to hide would be within one's own territory. He would be a fool if he were to leave his own area and stay outside. In any case, as long as one persisted for a month, everything would be judged as a success. Hence, losses and whatnot were very normal. Yet, Yi Tianyun chose to leave his own god realm. This was extremely rash, and to them, an extremely brainless move. If it were them, they would immediately hide in their own territory and defend it to the death. As long as there were intruders, they would kill them without mercy. Soon, the army charged towards Yi Tianyun's side, while Yi Tianyun observed the situation in the area. He released a lot of pets there to keep an eye on them. As the distance was not far, they could transmit information to him, letting him know the situation there. Fortunately, they didn't reach out to attack the three realms god realm, but rather towards him. Are they all here? Yi Tianyun's eyes were cold. He was wearing a set of pitch-black armor. This was the evil Lord of Heaven set. He held the starry god's spear in his hand. The godly seals on the spear flashed. Everything was prepared. Not long after, the first to tear through space and rush over was the Sacred Peak Sacred Realms Domain Master, followed closely by the Myriad Heaven Sacred Realms Domain Master. The two strongest region masters had the same cultivation. They were both late-stage Middle Empyrean cultivators. They were just a bit away from becoming Upper Empyrean cultivators. It wasn't that easy to break through to the Upper Heavenly Venerate level. It was already quite heaven-defying to be able to become a late-stage Heavenly Venerate. This was especially true in the outer divine regions. They were considered to be at the very top. Xiao. As soon as Domain Master Wan Tian appeared, he did not hesitate and immediately charged towards Yi Tianyun. A cold light flashed in his hand, and upon closer inspection, it was actually a claw-shaped weapon. It was rare for a cultivator to use a claw-shaped weapon. Moreover, it was a Heavenly Venerate spiritual treasure, which surprised Yi Tianyun. However, he had no time to be surprised. He immediately burst into a frenzied attack mode and activated his strongest power to resist Domain Master Wan Tian's attack. Domain Master Wan Tian's power soared to the extreme. As Fan Yu's space was relatively fragile, it tore through the void along the way and shattered everything. Give me the token's core. Domain Master Wan Tian's eyes flashed with a cold light as he ruthlessly tore towards Yi Tianyun. Heaven murdering divine art, water fire revolving spear. Under the superposition of the water and fire attributes, the originally repelling attributes directly merged together, thus causing the starry god spear to explode with even greater power. What was superimposed was the even more overbearing divine dragon bloodline power. The spear heavily smashed through the void. Boom! The two of them exchanged a simple move and directly caused a large area of the void to explode. Immediately after, both of them were forced back, barely able to fight to a draw. As expected of Domain Master Wan Tian, his power is really strong. Yi Tianyun felt a little numb in his hands. His opponent had used a sharp claw, and after ruthlessly scraping down, a few deep marks appeared on his starry god spear. As expected, a heavenly Tao weapon was much weaker than a heavenly venerate spiritual treasure. If he fought it head-on, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. At this time, he also realized that there was still a large gap between him and a middle-level heavenly venerate. Under his full power, he could barely fight to a draw, which was enough to show how amazing his opponent was. The main thing was that Domain Master Wan Tian used most of his power at once, without any sloppiness. It was not like before, when he saw that Yi Tianyun was at the Lord God level, he would use a little less power. Domain Master Wan Tian did not do that. He directly used his full power, wanting to kill Yi Tianyun in one move and then obtain the token's core. Who knew that he would not succeed, and instead, he would be sent flying back. Yi Tianyun was surprised, but his opponent was even more shocked. Domain Master Wan Tian originally wanted to kill Yi Tianyun in one move as soon as possible and snatch the token's core to prevent anything else from happening. Who knew that he would definitely be able to snatch it would be stopped by a god lord? How can a god lord be so strong? Domain Master Wan Tian was shocked. He thought that it was a lucky god lord who happened to pick up the token's core, but it seemed that he was wrong. Sacred Peak Domain Master was also dumbfounded. He turned to look at Domain Master Wan Tian and said in shock, "Aren't you guys on the same side? Who is on the same side as him? We have never allied with the divine realm of the three realms. The divine realm of the three realms is not supported by us at all." Domain Master Wan Tian was about to explode from anger. He shouted loudly and fiercely refuted Domain Master Sacred Peak's words. "If it is not you guys, who is supporting them?" Sacred Peak Domain Master could not tell that Domain Master Wan Tian was lying, which meant that it was true. Didn't that mean that all the heavenly venerables he sent out had died in the hands of an unknown force? Or rather, they had died in the hands of this strange god lord. "You ask me, who should I ask?" Domain Master Wan Tian said angrily. "Why don't you ask me?" Yi Tianyun said with a smile on his face. "Then who is supporting you?" Domain Master Wan Tian was so angry that he wanted to laugh. "I am supporting myself, is there a problem?" Yi Tianyun's reply made everyone want to vomit blood. Chapter 1399. Messing with us. The Myriad Heavens Domain Lord and the Saint Peak Domain Lord were furious, and they immediately attacked Yi Tianyun. They raised their hands in the void and used their Empyrean spirit treasures to attack Yi Tianyun. They were both Empyrean spirit treasures. One was a low-grade Empyrean spiritual treasure, and the other was a middle-grade Empyrean spiritual treasure. However, their power was completely different. They could unleash their full power. Domain Master Shengfeng's Empyrean spiritual treasure was extremely violent. It was just a small sacred peak that was thrown towards Yi Tianyun. The small sacred peak immediately turned into a huge sacred peak. It was like a huge planet that smashed towards Yi Tianyun. Boom, boom, boom. Layers of the void were shattered by this huge sacred peak. Then, it shook towards Yi Tianyun, wanting to crush him layer by layer. This was just the power of a low-grade Empyrean spiritual treasure, but in his hands, it exploded with terrifying power. This was the difference in cultivation. Even a low-grade Empyrean spiritual treasure could release terrifying power. Domain Master Wan Tian also attacked. However, he was still a close combat type. His other Empyrean spiritual treasure was a pair of wings. After equipping it, it turned into a beam of light that broke through the void. In the blink of an eye, it was already in front of Yi Tianyun. It could not be any faster. This speed directly surpassed Yi Tianyun's previous speed. It could even be said that he was ahead by a large margin. This was the effect of having a powerful cultivation base and equipped with a heaven-defying treasure, extreme speed charge. Fast, it's too fast. Yi Tianyun's eyes could not keep up. This was the first time he had seen such speed. In fact, Heavenly Killer God could also explode with shocking speed. However, his power was suppressed and he was seriously injured. He had never truly experienced the power of a middle-level Empyrean. As for the upper-level Empyrean level, there was no need to mention it. He had never experienced it before. Level up. Ding. Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun for successfully breaking through to level 6 God Lord. Level up again. Ding. Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun for successfully breaking through to level 7 God Monarch. Shifeng leveled up twice in one go, madly increasing his basic attributes. His aura instantly rose to a new peak. At this moment, the speed he saw was still an afterimage. Furthermore, this was under the effects of the Kunpeng bloodline. Even so, he was still unable to compare to the other party, there was still a huge gap between them. Heaven murdering divine art, illusory soil circulation. The mystic gold power and the earth elemental power fused together to form a thick defense around him. Since there was no way to escape or hide, he might as well defend for once. Puchi. The incomparably sturdy defense was pierced through by the sharp claws. The sharp claws were like piercing through a layer of paper, easily piercing through. This was the perfect combination of speed and sharp claws. He finally understood why Domain Lord Wan Tian used his claws as a weapon. Coupled with his astonishing speed, he was truly invincible. Close combat had always been the most powerful attack. Domain Lord Wan Tian's close combat strength was very strong. Coupled with his wings, he could perfectly display his advantage in close combat. Once they got close, it meant that the battle was over. It's over. Domain Lord Wan Tian's eyes were full of excitement. He was ready to snatch the token core. The Domain Lord on the side was anxious. He wanted to speed up, but he couldn't. His speed was not as heaven-defying as Domain Lord Wan Tian. The experts of the myriad heaven sacred realm behind him were overjoyed. Close combat, I won. Close combat was victory, it had always been like this. Puchi, this claw tore through the terrifyingly hard evil Lord of Heaven set. It was as if everything was a pile of scrap metal under this powerful force. However, while continuing to stab, in Yi Tianyun's head, there was already a number jumping crazily. Upgrade Kunpeng bloodline. Ding, successfully deducted 5,000 compressed crazy point, Kunpeng bloodline upgraded to 2nd grade. 2nd grade Kunpeng bloodline, speed increased from 100 times to 300 times. Whoosh! Kunpeng bloodline and Phoenix bloodline superimposed on each other, increasing his speed by 500 times. It is reasonable to say that the speed of Phoenix bloodline alone is already as high as 500 times. However, the quality of Phoenix bloodline is somewhat low, and the higher the level, the worse the effect. It can only superimpose 500 times the speed. However, it is already quite amazing. When it was about to stab him, Yi Tianyun's body made an emergency shift and moved back 1 meter. Under the instantaneous burst of speed, he was actually a little faster than Domain Lord Wan Tian. Although it was just a little bit faster, it was still faster. Just a little bit faster meant that he had the upper hand. Shortly after, he dodged the fatal attack. However, the shockwaves that tore through the air still injured his body. 5 marks left on his body, the evil Lord of Heaven set was torn, and there were 5 more deep marks on his body. This power is too strong. If he was a little bit slower, he would have definitely been torn into 5 pieces. After he dodged, he did not stay for long and quickly dodged to the back. What? When Domain Lord Wan Tian saw Yi Tianyun dodge his attack, he was shocked. At this moment, the sacred peak was pressing down, and Domain Lord Wan Tian did not have time to chase after Yi Tianyun. He could only choose to slap his hand behind him, colliding with the sacred peak. Boom! After the two clashed, Yi Tianyun just managed to escape the area and take a breather. The injuries on his body healed rapidly. His healing ability is extremely strong. Be it Phoenix Bloodline or Divine Dragon Bloodline, they have amazing healing effects. Too strong, really too strong, Yi Tianyun frowned as he looked at the 5 rapidly healing wounds on his chest, and his heart palpitated. He could feel that the other party did not use his full strength. Not using his full strength was already so heaven-defying. If he used his full strength, what level would he reach? Even if he broke through to God Monarch level 7, the difference is still shocking. Sometimes, just increasing one's fighting strength is not enough, speed is still very important. After all, speed is the only thing that cannot be defeated in this world. No matter how amazing one's fighting strength is, it is useless if one cannot hit. Crazy damage mode only increases his power, it does not mean that it increases his speed, nor does it increase his defense. Speed still depends on the eruption of his major bloodlines to be able to rush forward, otherwise, he will not be able to close the distance. Chapter 1400. Yi Tianyun was deeply shocked by the speed. It turned out that the gap between them was so huge. He had beaten so many heavenly masters before. Now that he was facing a truly powerful heavenly master, the gap was immediately apparent. However, if he stayed in the sacred realm of the 3 realms, he could undoubtedly close the gap. After all, in the sacred realm of the 3 realms, not only could he increase his strength, but he could also teleport and escape. However, he did not want to bring the flames of war to the sacred realm of the 3 realms. Unless he was forced to do so, he definitely did not want to do so. The sacred realm of the 3 realms was ultimately a little weak. Perhaps the cultivators there were all crazy and willing to fight for him. However, he did not intend to go back until the crucial moment. If the overall strength of the sacred realm of the 3 realms was equal to that of a grade 3 celestial realm, he would definitely be happy to stay in the sacred realm of the 3 realms. At the very least, he had to try and see what level he could reach and how many of the experts here could he block. Boom, boom, boom. Domain Master Wan Tian and Domain Master Xing Feng fought crazily. After a single exchange, Domain Master Wan Tian was completely enraged. Sacred Peak Region Master, can you please be more precise? How dare you attack me, you damned bastard! Come and die. Domain Master Wan Tian was furious after being hit by the Sacred Peak. If not for his strong cultivation, he would have been squashed flat. Who told you to rush over? It has nothing to do with me. Domain Master Xing Feng waved his sacred peak continuously, blocking him in front. He did not dare to fight Domain Master Wan Tian in close combat. He would definitely be the one to die. Yi Tianyun, who was standing on the side, smiled as he watched the fight between the 2 domain masters. This was exactly what he wanted. He then turned to the other experts. While they were fighting, he wanted to kill all the heavenly masters and divine monarchs. Swoosh! Yi Tianyun's figure rushed forward and disappeared into the void. He disappeared without a trace as if he had completely escaped from this place. However, this was all an illusion. The light in the sky still shrouded down, piercing through the void and illuminating Yi Tianyun. Even so, this did not hinder Yi Tianyun's speed as he charged over. In the blink of an eye, he killed his way into the group of experts from the 2 god realms. Ah ah ah! A cold light shot out from the void. Every shot could easily explode their heads. Basically, it was 1 shot per person. Not to mention heavenly venerables, at least divine sovereigns were killed with a single spear strike. All of them transformed into a huge wave of experience that surged over. Yi Tianyun activated a bunch of experience cards at the same time to maximize his experience points. The experience he had accumulated from killing 9 Empyreans was only enough for him to level up twice. This was enough to show how difficult it was to level up now. Therefore, he needed more experience and a higher multiplier in order to level up faster. The higher the rank, the more likely they would be able to stop them. Especially crazy points, he can earn more EXP, so that he can improve his bloodline power. Who would be able to stop him when he advanced one by one? Along with the sounds of slaughter, divine lords were like pieces of paper. Heavenly venerables were still fine. If they were not careful, they would be killed instantly. If they were prepared, they would be seriously injured and almost killed. However, Yi Tianyun did not continue fighting. If he couldn't kill them in one shot, he immediately moved to the next target. After all, there were not only Sacred Peak God Realm here, but also Myriad Heaven God Realm and other God Realms. This was a battle between God Realms, not a one-on-one battle. It's just that Sacred Peak God Realm and Myriad Heaven God Realm were the most overbearing, so they snatched first while the other God Realms watched from the sidelines. Some of them even had a relationship with Sacred Peak God Realm. Since they were all in the same group, they could not let them go. Many cultivators were killed in the blink of an eye, and they couldn't stop them at all. Yi Tianyun combined with the Void bloodline and the terrifying Kuanpeng bloodline, his speed in the Void can be said to have reached the extreme. The situation here was quickly seen by the Sacred Peak God Realm Lord and the others, and they all stopped. If they continue to fight, their side's experts will be finished. Damn it, this guy is the fisherman. The Sacred Peak God Realm Lord and the others were furious and rushed here, trying to suppress Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun completely ignored them and continued to harvest the experts at an extremely fast speed. Kuanpeng bloodline, upgrade. Ding, successfully deducted 10,000 compressed crazy point, Kuanpeng bloodline upgraded to 3rd level. The effect increased from 300 times to 500 times. As expected of the Kuanpeng bloodline that focuses on speed, it has reached the maximum level of Phoenix bloodline at 3rd level. I wonder what kind of amazing speed it will reach in the future. Xiao. His speed suddenly increased, and he harvested at an even faster speed. Along the way, he easily killed a group of cultivators, turning them into dregs. The Sacred Peak God Realm Lord and the others couldn't catch up, they could only watch Yi Tianyun madly kill their men. When they were ready to catch up, Yi Tianyun made a sharp turn and got rid of them, even Myriad Heaven God Realm Lord couldn't catch up with him easily. Damn it, how did his speed suddenly become so fast? Did this guy kill all the heavenly masters I sent out? The Sacred Peak God Realm Lord was shocked to the extreme, a cultivator who exudes divine monarch aura from time to time, the power that burst out has reached their level. Immediately, he shouted at Myriad Heaven God Realm Lord, "What are you doing? Hurry up and stop him. If this goes on, not to mention my subordinates, even your subordinates will be killed." The two of them seemed to have become friends and began to communicate with each other. You think I don't want to? His speed is too fast, faster than me. Myriad Heaven God Realm Lord also wanted to suppress Yi Tianyun, but Yi Tianyun's speed is faster than him, how can he catch up? Bullshit, you are not willing to use it, once you use it, you will definitely catch up, even faster than him. Don't think I don't know that you still have a lot of power hidden. The Sacred Peak God Realm Lord shouted. Damn it, don't you have a lot of power hidden? If you have the guts, why don't you use it first and try to fight him? Myriad Heaven God Realm Lord roared. The two of them refused to give way. Actually, both of them were hiding their strength, and did not use their strongest power, mainly because they didn't dare to use it completely. Once someone else took advantage of the situation, they would suffer a great loss. Therefore, neither of them dared to act recklessly, nor use their full power, they were both wary of each other. Even though Yi Tianyun was madly killing their men, they still did not dare to act recklessly. If they lost their men, they could find new ones, but if they died, they would not even be able to get the token core. the token core was the most important. Chapter 1401. Both of them were unwilling to unleash their full power. Both of them were holding back. This was what Yi Tianyun wanted. He was harvesting the lives of numerous cultivators and easily gaining a large amount of experience points. Two fools, guarding against each other. By the time you unleash your full power, I will have already taken care of your subordinates. Yi Tianyun sneered in his heart. He liked this kind of ending the most. They could restrain each other and watch him harvest their subordinates. Damn it, if this goes on, we will be finished. Sacred Peak Domain Master said angrily, let's work together. Let's make a vow that we will attack each other when we get the token core first. When we kill that guy, we will not hold back. How about that? Deal. Domain Master Wan Tian was even angrier. He agreed without hesitation. If they made a vow, they would not attack each other. Most importantly, they would not be at a disadvantage if they unleashed their full power at the same time. Originally, Domain Master Wan Tian was worried that Sacred Peak Domain Master would be watching from the side after he unleashed his full power. If that happened, Sacred Peak Domain Master Wan Tian would fight him head-on. Now that he had made the vow, he could attack with ease. At least, he would not sneak up on him. Open up. Domain Master Wan Tian spread his wings. From the original 2 wings, he had 4 wings. His speed instantly increased by several times, or even more than 10 times. With a swoosh, he broke through the void and charged towards Yi Tianyun. He was so fast that he instantly overpowered Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun's speed was a few hundred times. It seemed shocking, but his foundation was too weak. For example, if 100 points multiplied by 500 times, that would be 50,000 points. But the foundation of a heavenly venerable was 10,000 points. If it multiplied by a few times, or more than 10 times, it would be a different story. In one breath, he crushed Yi Tianyun's speed and chased after him. This is his true speed. When Yi Tianyun saw Domain Master Wan Tian charging towards him, his heart skipped a beat. However, he did not slow down and continued to kill other cultivators. Suppress him. St. Peak's Domain Master also unleashed his strongest power. The gigantic St. Peak came crashing down. Be it in terms of speed or area of effect, both were much stronger than before. At the same time, countless chains wrapped around him. It was another suppression-type Empyrean spirit treasure. The Sacred Peak Domain Master also used his other intermediate Heavenly Venerable Spirit treasure to seal the area. Needless to say, everyone had their own style. Domain Lord Wan Tian liked close combat, and even more so, he liked his astonishing speed. The Domain Master of the St. Peak liked absolute suppression, sealing off all paths of retreat, leaving his opponent with nowhere to run. Under the joint efforts of the 2 heavenly venerables, Yi Tianyun was forced into a desperate situation. There was no way for him to escape. At this moment, Domain Master Wan Tian had already arrived. The sharp claws in his hands were unleashed to the maximum. The originally small claws instantly turned into sharp claws that were dozens of meters long. This time, Yi Tianyun didn't dare to continue fighting. He turned around and viciously lashed out. Since there was no way to escape, he might as well just attack. While counterattacking, he first hit in the void. In the void, he could weaken the opponent's power, thus reducing the pressure. Heaven Slaughtering Divine Incantation, Magic Gold. The 5 elements core in his body revolved crazily, and the starry divine spear in his hand immediately turned into an indestructible golden spear. Boom! The 2 collided, and Yi Tianyun was directly sent flying. His hand felt numb, and he felt as if his hand was about to break. However, Domain Master Wan Tian wasn't much better off. He was also sent flying by his power. Although there was a gap between the 2, Yi Tianyun's crazy attack was not to be trifled with. Furthermore, he had the support of various bloodlines, so his power was astonishing. Even so, the two were still sent flying, and it was a draw. The important thing was that after Yi Tianyun was sent flying, Domain Master Wan Tian's attack came. Waves after waves of attacks swept over. Whether it was above, below, left, or right, he was completely surrounded by the Empyrean spirit treasure. Yi Tianyun didn't panic. He couldn't use the teleportation god stone to escape, but that didn't mean he couldn't use instant transmission. Let's go. Yi Tianyun's figure flashed, and he disappeared in place. The divine light above the whole world suddenly disappeared, and then quickly reappeared. When it reappeared, the divine light had already arrived at the side of the area, and he escaped from the siege of two Empyreans. What? Both of them were shocked. Two Empyreans joined forces, and all kinds of seals couldn't trap Yi Tianyun. Especially Domain Master Wan Tian, his heart couldn't calm down for a long time. If Domain Master Wan Tian is extremely confident in his close combat, as long as he can get close to his opponent, then Domain Master Wan Tian is absolute suppression and besiegement. As long as the two great treasures are used, they will definitely suppress the opponent and not let him escape. But the result was still unexpected. Yi Tianyun easily escaped and avoided his blockade. After Yi Tianyun escaped, he continued to join the crazy slaughter, quickly harvesting the cultivators around him. This is to earn more EXP and crazy point, and at the same time continue to reduce these cultivators, completely eliminate them. Run, run. Both divine monarchs and lesser Empyreans chose to escape. In the face of Yi Tianyun's violent power, lesser Empyreans can't even resist a few moves, and they will be killed in seconds. This made them crazy. So many cultivators can't even stop one person. It's really ridiculous. Before, they thought that they could take down Yi Tianyun, but who knew that the difference in strength is so great? They were simply suppressed by absolute power. Yi Tianyun fought with them. It was difficult to kill them, or hurt them too much. However, his escaping skills were top-notch, and he easily slipped away. Then, he rushed to the other cultivators and started a massacre, wiping them out in a frenzy. Damn it, what the hell is going on? Both of us joined forces can't suppress him. Domain Master Wan Tian and Domain Master Wan Tian's face turned ugly. It can be said that they are extremely embarrassed. They thought that they could easily suppress Yi Tianyun, but now it seems that they are naive. Even if they burst out with their full strength, their opponents still escaped. It is simply a shame. Again. They didn't stop, and immediately joined forces to continue to attack. The Domain Master of the Sacred Peak Domain and the Domain Master of the Myriad Heavens Domain unleashed even more power this time. They were completely enraged and were ready to risk everything. Chapter 1402. All the god realms were paying attention to this scene. They didn't have to participate in the battle. They could send some scouts to pass the news back. They used a type of image-transmitting god stone that could project the scene back. This thing was extremely expensive and had a time limit. However, in order to see the situation here, they were willing to go all out. The god realm of the three realms also sent scouts over. These scouts were sent by Sword Lord Heavenly Paragon. They had image-transmitting god stones. As a heavenly paragon, if they didn't even have such a thing, they would be letting down their heavenly paragon. At this time, all the scenes were transmitted to their eyes. It could be said that within the god realm of the three realms, they could clearly see Yi Tianyun's battle. Their hearts were in their throats every time they saw Yi Tianyun being besieged. However, Yi Tianyun was able to dodge every time and even fight to a draw. When this scene was transmitted to the other god realms, they were all shocked. All the god realms were shocked. The god realm of the three realms were actually this strong? Little junior brother is very strong. The opponent is going all out, but he can still persist. In terms of overall strength, he seems to surpass me. Sword Lord Heavenly Paragon shook his head. He thought that facing two god realm lords at full power was still difficult. However, Yi Tianyun kept running. It made them sigh. Yes, very shocking. If he goes to the inner God realm and Master nurtures him, he will definitely reach a higher level. Senior brother Li Tian couldn't help but nod. Yes, his talent is even higher than ours. It's very rare to see such a heaven-defying level. We only have this strength after tempering ourselves in the inner God realm. Little junior brother didn't even temper himself, but he already has this strength. He is truly monstrous. Senior brother Long Ming also sighed. Although they all admired him, Shi Xueyun and the others' hearts were in their throats. They were all frightened by this scene. Sister-in-law, don't be so nervous. I'm already prepared to help at any time. Senior brother Li Tian had a calm expression as if he had a card up his sleeve. Really? Shi Xueyun's eyes lit up, and when she said that, their heart is a lot more at ease. Yes, Master has already instructed us to protect little junior brother. However, the moment we take action, it will be the same as your defeat in the God's Domain War, Li Tian said. If they could interfere at will, the sacred peak celestial realm would have done so long ago. Many almighty beings would have rushed over to fight. But they could only protect the God realm and could not come out to fight. Similarly, they couldn't kill their way out and charge into the other divine domains. That would be tantamount to breaking the rules. If they could, the God realm would be destroyed in the God realms. If they could, the God realm would to the God realm of God realm. Is that so? Shi Xueyun's eyes lit up, then please senior. Although it was important to win the Divine Realm War, Yi Tianyun's life was undoubtedly more important. As long as he was alive, there was hope. But if it's possible, I really don't want junior brother to be eliminated. They shook their heads. They really didn't want to do this, especially when they saw the resolute look in Yi Tianyun's eyes. They didn't want to ruin Yi Tianyun's plan. Little junior brother is too soft-hearted. He doesn't want the Three Realms God domain to suffer too much damage. Otherwise, if he hid inside, he wouldn't dare to say that he could win for sure. At the very least, with the three of us, we can share most of the pressure. Heavenly Paragon Sword Judge shook his head. He felt that Yi Tianyun's actions were too soft-hearted. If it were any other region lord, they would have long since run back to their own divine territory. Only then would they be able to maximize the strength of their external aid. That was why he said that obtaining the token core was the most crucial moment. This was especially true for the top-ranked God realms. Once they obtained the token core and escaped, they were basically destined to win. With a large number of heavenly venerables guarding the surroundings, who would dare to approach? If they really wanted to snatch it back, they could only engage in a frenzied battle between the divine domains. At that time, there would be countless casualties. While everyone else was paying attention to this side, Yi Tianyun felt danger approaching. Huh! A terrifying power came from behind Yi Tianyun, and he immediately turned around to look. He saw two balls of light blooming with extreme energy rushing in his direction. Even the Sacred Peak region lord's speed was much faster than before. It could even be said that if he didn't have a breakthrough in his bloodline and cultivation, he wouldn't even be as fast as the Sacred Peak region lord. It seemed that they were really going all out. Even the bloodline in their bodies began to burn, stimulating their own abilities, wanting to kill him. Sacred Peak World. The Sacred Peak region lord roared. The sacred peak in his hands was wrapped in layers of thick chains. He didn't expect that two heavenly venerable spirit treasures could be used together to attack. After combining, the sacred peak that was pressing down had countless chains that turned into a cage, shrouding the surroundings. At the same time, it was accompanied by a sealing power, wanting to completely trap Yi Tianyun under it. They knew that when Yi Tianyun escaped just now, he should have escaped through the void. Thus, the most direct method was to seal all the space, to prevent Yi Tianyun from escaping this time. This time, it could be said that they were going all out. The sealing power was strengthened several times, and the surrounding space was locked in layers. It had to be said that it was really much stronger. Suddenly, Yi Tianyun felt the pressure increase. He could clearly feel that the surrounding space had been strengthened, and the difficulty of teleportation had greatly increased. This was the crazy eruption of a late-stage Heavenly Venerable, and it could be said that he was the strongest opponent so far. Although Heavenly Venerable Godkiller was a little stronger, his opponent was at least injured, and he was restrained. Now, who in the Sacred Peak region Lord could restrain him? There was no one who could restrain him. Even if the core of the 5 elements could restrain him, the difference was still huge. While sealing the space, the Myriad Heavens region Lord also erupted with a stronger power. There were still 4 wings on his back, but faint flames were emitting from them. His speed also increased several times, and the sharp claws in his hands shone with a cold silver light. The cold air they emitted was enough to tear everything to pieces. Void strangulation. With the Myriad Heavens region Lord as the center, a large area around him was filled with countless cold lights. Coincidentally, when a few rocks were thrown over, they suddenly turned into powder and disappeared. No one knew what had happened. In fact, the area around him was already filled with terrifying strangulation power. Countless invisible attacks were spreading in all directions, so fast that it was hard to see them clearly. Once they got close, they would be torn into countless pieces. Chapter 1403. The joint attack of the 2 region masters caused the hearts of all the spectating God domain experts to tighten. Among them, the 3 realms God realm was even more nervous. Li Tian Heavenly Master was ready to help at any time. It seemed like the distance was far, but for him, he only needed a moment to rush over to help. However, he wouldn't rush out until the critical moment, otherwise, everything would be over. In the face of such a strong suppression, Yi Tianyun's heart is still so calm. He can't rush out with instant transmission. It must be said that the Saint Peak Domain Lord won. His powerful seal blocked all escape routes. He can only admit this, unless he continues to upgrade his instant transmission, he still has a chance to escape. But in addition to upgrading his instant transmission, he can also upgrade another skill. Upgrade. Ding. Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun for successfully breaking through to God Monarch level 8. He chose to upgrade his cultivation instead of instant transmission. Instant transmission didn't reach its limit, but his cultivation reached its limit, so the power of instant transmission was limited. After deducting a large amount of EXP, he finally upgraded. It wasn't easy to upgrade. If he didn't harvest Heavenly Masters and God Monarchs like crazy before, he wouldn't be able to upgrade. Later on, the experience needed to level up has reached hundreds of thousands of compressed crazy point. If converted to the previous experience, it is really explosive. After the upgrade, Yi Tianyun's base value increased in all aspects, including the power of instant transmission. Go! Yi Tianyun didn't fight them head-on, but chose to escape. Although his cultivation has increased, he's facing 2 middle-level Heavenly Masters, he would be a fool if he didn't run. He was not invincible, unless his cultivation base continued to break through. Thus, with a teleportation, he easily escaped from this terrifying seal. But the attack of the 2 Heavenly Masters immediately missed. The one who was trapped was Myriad Heaven Domain Lord, not Yi Tianyun. Everyone who was watching was stunned. They all rubbed their eyes, wondering if they were seeing things. How could such a terrifying seal be able to escape? Junior apprentice brother, how did you do it? Li Tian and the others were all stupefied. They knew that they had no way of escaping, and could only fight their way out. After all, the seal of the Sacred Peak Region Master could not be broken so easily. It could easily suppress the enemy. However, Yi Tianyun still managed to escape. It was only when they saw the divine light land elsewhere that they realized that Yi Tianyun had escaped. What the hell? You can still escape. The Sacred Peak Region Master and the others were about to go crazy. After paying such a high price, they still couldn't even trap a cultivator. This made the Sacred Peak Region Master doubt his own strength. After escaping, Yi Tianyun did not linger for long. He immediately continued with his extermination. Just like before, he began to harvest like crazy. Compared to before, his current speed was even more astonishing, and his harvesting speed was also much faster. This was how Tianyun had always played. He couldn't win from the front, but he could choose to attack from the side. He would first eliminate his subordinates, and then slowly finish them off. He was in no hurry at all. As long as the two of them become bald, they would not be able to do anything. The key is that he can earn more experience and crazy point to speed up his breakthrough. This is equivalent to quickly leveling up, and then filling the gap between them, and finally achieving a counterattack. If this continues, my subordinates will all die. The Sacred Peak Region Master's forehead was on the verge of exploding. That's right, if this continues, our subordinates will all die. Domain Master Wan Tian was going crazy. He felt that he was wasting his time here. If this continued, their subordinates would all be wiped out. At that time, even if they won, their own forces would collapse. No, he killed our subordinates, we will also kill his subordinates. Domain Master Wan Tian was angry. Since he can't outrun Tianyun's speed, he will choose to rush to Tianyun's forces and force him back. Immediately, Domain Master Wan Tian and the others took out the communication jade pendant and crushed it fiercely. At the same time, they shouted, "Disciples of Sacred Peak Divine Realm, move to the Three Realms Divine Realm and flatten the Three Realms Divine Realm. Disciples and elders of Myriad Heaven Divine Realm, move to the Three Realms Divine Realm and destroy the Three Realms Divine Realm." Domain Master Wan Tian shouted and also began to mobilize the disciples and elders of Myriad Heaven Divine Realm to attack the Three Realms Divine Realm. Such a situation had never occurred in the past. The gods' territory outside had been constantly fighting for the token core. Only after the token core had been snatched away would they start to fight for it in the gods' territory. Now the situation has reversed, they no longer pay attention to Tianyun and directly attack the Three Realms Divine Realm. This made many domain masters who were watching this scene dumbfounded. Are they going to let Tianyun go and then destroy his forces? But if they destroy the others' forces, at most they can't bring their forces up, they can still go up smoothly. But they are gambling that Tianyun will go back to rescue them. When that time comes, he will take the initiative to attack them, will he not have a chance to counterattack? As expected. Tianyun's eyes were cold. He had already guessed that the other party might do this. After failing to succeed in their attacks, they turned to retaliate against his forces. It's not that they don't want to kill Tianyun, but they are still unable to catch up to him, even after using all their strength. They were so close to catching up, but suddenly they sped up again. When they continued to unleash their power, Tianyun sped up and increased his power again. It felt like the increase was endless, and they couldn't catch up. If this continues, they will definitely be the first to die. The constantly burning energy in their bodies is not endless. Now that they are angry, they will first destroy the Three Realms Divine Realm. After destroying the Three Realms Divine Realm and venting their anger, they will chase after Tianyun. At the very least, if Tianyun succeeds in holding out for a month, their forces will definitely be gone. But Tianyun isn't worried. It's precisely because he expected this that he let his three senior brothers stand guard there. There are also many cultivators who are already in place. His initial plan was to weaken most of the other party's forces as quickly as possible. The remaining forces will be able to attack the Three Realms Divine Realm, which will reduce the pressure and reduce the casualties to the minimum. Now that they are all there, he will have to go back and fight. This is the real start. Hold on, and we will win. Tianyun licked his lips, his eyes full of fighting spirit. Chapter 1404. Under the lead of the two domain lords, they charged towards the god realm of the Three Realms. They couldn't be bothered with Tianyun, leaving him behind. This was equivalent to giving the opportunity to the other god realms, but would the other god realms dare to snatch it? Even the two strongest god realms had failed. Unless Yi Tianyun personally gave the token core away, they felt that no one would be able to snatch it from him. The surrounding God Realm scouts exchanged glances. They had never seen such a situation before. It could be said that the domain lords of the three realms were too heaven-defying. Their one-on-one combat abilities were top-notch. But in their opinion, if one person entered the God Realm alone with decent cultivation, he would definitely be doomed. Unless he joined another God Realm as a backer. But that would be a waste of a God Realm spot. Originally, moving up was equivalent to gaining another divine territory, and there would be more resources to enjoy. Joining other forces would allow him to enjoy resources, but if he had a fourth-grade God Realm, the resources would belong to him. There was no need to say which outcome was better. This was why they had chosen to retain their forces. This was what they meant. Unless they had helpers in the God Realm, they could receive the resources. It was more or less the same. Yi Tianyun looked at their backs and chased after them, but he didn't rush toward the Saint Peak Domain Lord, but the Divine Monarch Realm cultivators. Spread out, everyone spread out. They began to shout, indicating for their subordinates to spread out and not be too concentrated. Otherwise, they would be killed very quickly. He's here. He should have done this long ago. The Domain Lord's eyes were cold. Destroy their God Realms. Even if he goes up later, he won't be able to do anything alone. Let Senior Brother and the others destroy this weak force immediately. If Yi Tianyun succeeded, it would mean that they had failed. The outcome would definitely not be good, but at least it would reduce the difficulty. Yi Tianyun would be the only one who could go up in the Three Realms God Realm. Then, they sped up. Yi Tianyun chased after them, killing them one by one. Because they were scattered, it would take some time to destroy them. It could be said that it was equivalent to nibbling away at them bit by bit. The more it was like this, the more pain the two region lords felt in their hearts. These were all experts that they had spent a great deal of effort to nurture. Now that they were being killed one by one, how could they not be heartbroken? Very soon, they would reach the Three Realms Celestial Realm. As the Three Realms Celestial Realm was only a Grade 1 God Realm, it would not take long for them to reach the Three Realms Celestial Realm from Fanyu. We're finally at the divine domain of the Three Realms. Let's completely flatten them and exterminate them. Don't leave a single one alive. Domain Lord Wan Tian and the others were going crazy. Their eyes were red as they prepared to charge forward and kill. In their minds, there shouldn't be any experts in the divine realm of the Three Realms. The strongest should be Yi Tianyun. Under such circumstances, the deity realm of the Three Realms could be easily destroyed. The rest of the subordinates' eyes were red. They were finally going to get revenge for their comrade, but the most important thing was that it was a type of humiliation. How could he not feel humiliated after being continuously beaten by a Grade 1 God Realm cultivator? The key was, what else could they do? They could only wait to be slaughtered. Under such circumstances, it was impossible for him to be in a good mood. Kill them all. One by one, they roared. The anger in their hearts was about to shoot out from their eyes. Yi Tianyun continued to kill them one by one. He seemed to be in a hurry, but he could not continue to speed up. Despair. Soon, it will be your turn to despair. They revealed cruel smiles. They wanted to see Yi Tianyun's expression of despair and unwillingness. As they charged in one by one, a cold light suddenly drifted over from all directions. Several god lords were directly dismembered into several pieces, dying instantly. Following that, countless tree branches that had turned into sharp swords pierced over, nailing many god lords in the void. One of the heavenly venerables was even killed instantly. The densely packed tree branches looked more like a city wall, blocking them here. At this moment, they felt two terrifying auras appear in front of them. Upon closer inspection, they were actually two middle-level heavenly venerables, one stronger than the other. Middle-level heavenly venerables. Didn't they say that there were no experts? Their hearts turned cold. They immediately felt that they had misjudged the information. It should be said that the information gathered by the people sent here was all wrong. During this period of time, the information they had gathered was that there were roughly two strongest experts. One was the Tianyun region lord, and the other was the glazed region lord. They did not know how strong Tianyun's cultivation was, but the glazed region lord knew that a cultivator who had just broken through to the heavenly venerables was no different from a child to them. Now that there were two middle-level heavenly venerables, they immediately felt that they had been deceived. Who said that the three realms sacred realm had no external help? How could they be weak when two middle-level heavenly venerables came directly? Boom! A violent energy rippled through the void, causing the two region lords' hearts to tremble. They quickly unleashed their strongest attacks and charged forward to block it. However, this berserk power turned into a violent fist that smashed through the layers of space in the void and smashed toward them. Under this punch, the two of them were directly sent flying, vomiting blood. Upper level heavenly venerables. After being sent flying, they quickly adjusted the aura in their bodies and began to heal. Compared to their own injuries, what shocked them more was that the three realms sacred realm had upper-level heavenly venerables as support. This was really incredible. Even they could only invite one upper-level heavenly venerables at most, and the price they had to pay was extremely high. Now, the three realms sacred realm had upper-level heavenly venerables and two middle-level heavenly venerables. This was completely beyond their imagination. A trap. They were all dumbfounded. Previously, they thought that Tianyun fought with them outside because he did not want the battle to affect the three realms sacred realm. Now it seemed that he was simply a liar. With three great heavenly venerables here, what was the point of fighting? Just one upper-level heavenly venerables was enough to suppress them. Even if they could not kill them, at least they would not even have the chance to come in and would be blocked outside. It was really too difficult to take down this token core. However, Tianyun fighting alone outside was naturally not a trap. He really wanted to kill them alone, and did not want the flames of war to engulf the three realms sacred realm so quickly. Harvest begins. When Tianyun caught up, he revealed a hint of a cold smile. His figure flashed rapidly. Accompanied by little flickers, Divine Lord after Divine Lord was easily killed. In the sacred realm, not only was his damage greatly increased, but he could also teleport extremely quickly. He was simply invincible. However, teleportation was not without restrictions. There was still a short cooldown time. Chapter 1405. There were three heavenly venerables in front of them, and Tianyun was slaughtering them from behind. The two-pronged attack made them wobble. Damn it! Run! The Sacred Peak Region Master and the others didn't think too much. They basically had no chance of winning against Heavenly Venerate Li and the others. In addition, there was Tianyun at the side. They definitely had no chance of winning. Thus, they could only choose to run. If they didn't run, they would be the ones to die. Even if they failed, at least they would still be alive and could participate in the next Divine Realm battle. Do you think you can escape? Heavenly Venerate Mighty Heavenly Venerate had already appeared behind them at some point in time. He raised his fist and punched towards them. He didn't use any equipment. He just raised his fists and punched at the two of them. Each punch covered a large area, making it impossible for them to escape. Dong, 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 the two of them were easily pushed back. The impact made them dizzy, and the blood in their bodies churned. Blood flowed from the corner of their mouths. They were slightly injured. This was just one punch, yet it could cause them so much damage. What if Heavenly Venerate Li used his full strength? They couldn't imagine it. Middle Heavenly Venerates could still fight against each other, but they felt powerless against Upper Heavenly Venerates. Their expressions were ugly. Didn't that mean they couldn't escape and could only die here? It wasn't just them. The others were also surrounded. More and more powerhouses from the three realms surrounded them from all directions. The weakest was at the Earth Monarch level, and most were God Monarchs. The two divine realms had brought many heavenly venerates and god monarchs. At least half of them had been killed by Tianyun. Now there were more than 100 left. It had to be said that the third-grade divine realm was really strong. But what would a god monarch do against a heavenly venerate? They would definitely be crushed. There weren't many heavenly venerates left in the two divine realms. Especially under the suppression of Tianyun and heavenly venerate Long Ming, many were quickly killed. Before entering the divine realm, Tianyun had prioritized killing heavenly venerates. The other god monarchs aside, he had killed the strongest heavenly venerates first. Hence, the ones left were basically divine lords. The number of heavenly venerables that were still alive could be counted on one hand. It could be said that the three realms celestial realm had already won, and they were not afraid of the sacred peak celestial realm and the 10,000 heaven celestial realm. Even if I die, I will drag a few down with me. Domain Lord Wan Tian roared angrily and flew towards other planets. The other god monarchs did the same. He didn't clash with the divine realm of the three realms. Instead, he charged towards the other planets, wanting to carry out a frenzied massacre or self-destruct. But when they charged forward, a sharp beam suddenly spewed out from the planet. It transformed into a thick beam of light that enveloped them, annihilating the divine lords that were charging over. Under that shot, the divine lord was blasted to smithereens. This scene frightened the other divine lords, causing them to avoid it. They did not dare to come any closer. This terrifying attack had already reached the level of a half-step Empyrean. This wasn't the work of an expert, but the work of an offensive array on the planet. Ordinary god lords would not be able to withstand the surging power. Only very powerful god lords could withstand it or avoid it. Isn't this an offensive array? How could a mere first-grade divine realm have won? The group of god lords was dumbfounded, including the heavenly venerables. They were all shocked by this scene. When the three senior brothers looked over, they were also a little surprised. They really didn't expect Tianyun's forces to have such a powerful array. Even a third-grade divine realm might not have such a powerful array. Mainly because they didn't want to spend so much effort. To have such a powerful array on such a small planet, one had to admit that it was quite a feat. Boom, boom, boom. It wasn't just the small planet on the periphery. Many of the planets on the periphery also spewed out shocking attacks. The god lords that surrounded them were easily annihilated. There was no such thing as dragging someone down with them. If they rushed over, they would be the first to die. Without a doubt, their plan was foiled. They had failed. As for the Sacred Peak Region Lord and the others, the two of them charged in different directions. However, the ones blocking them were Heavenly Venerate Mighty Sky and Heavenly Venerate Dragon Cry. One was an upper-level Heavenly Venerate, while the other was a late-stage mid-level Heavenly Venerate. They were definitely stronger than them. When the two Heavenly Venerates intercepted them, they sent them flying back. There was no way they could run around. If we let you mess around, we'll have to disappoint little junior brother. Heavenly Venerate Mighty Sky's eyes were calm. This was the confidence that came from suppressing their cultivation base. In his opinion, these people were already dead. Little junior brother. Which force are you from? The Sacred Peak Region Lord and the others shouted. Dead people don't need to know so much. Heavenly Venerate Mighty Sky didn't waste any time. He raised his fist and punched. His fist shone with golden light. Previously, it was invisible, but now it was golden. The mighty god's bloodline surged, and his entire arm became extremely thick. His strength instantly increased dozens of times. Under this violent punch, heaven and earth shattered. Everything began to be destroyed, including the Sacred Peak Region Lord. Obviously, the Sacred Peak Region Lord had used his strongest power, but in the face of this punch, he couldn't resist it at all. He was instantly destroyed. After he retracted his fist, there was nothing in front of him. Everything had been punched into nothingness. This is the power of an upper heavenly venerate, absolute power. No one can resist it. Successfully killed Sacred Peak Region Lord. Reward, 230,000 compressed EXP, 5,000 compressed Crazy Point, 4,000 compressed SP obtains Sacred Peak, Lower Heavenly Venerate Spirit Treasure, Sacred Peak Divine Chain, Middle Heavenly Venerate Spirit Treasure, Sacred Peak Divine Art. Killing a higher level Lord. Reward, 50,000 compressed EXP. Although he wasn't the one who killed the Sacred Peak Region Lord, he still got the corresponding reward. As expected of an upper heavenly venerate, he's too strong. Tianyun was shocked. He didn't even need to do anything to kill the Sacred Peak Region Lord. His senior brother is really strong. He didn't need to use any heavenly venerate spirit treasure, he just used the power of his bloodline to kill the Sacred Peak Region Lord. This is true power, relying on one's own strength. On the other side, Heavenly Venerate Dragon Cry and Domain Lord Wantian were locked in a fierce battle. Both of them had the same cultivation level, so it depended on who had the advantage in other aspects. Only when one has the advantage can he win. Seal. Heavenly Venerate Dragon Cry used countless branches to form a huge cage in this huge space, trapping Domain Lord Wantian inside. Chapter 1406. The densely packed tree branches completely sealed off the surroundings, leaving no room for escape. Swish, a cold light flashed inside, a large number of branches were cut off, and a small area immediately opened up. Regardless of whether it was the sharp blade in his hand or the wings on his back, all of them turned into blade gleams that sliced through the surroundings, cutting down all the branches that were entangling him. You want to trap me with just this bit of strength? You're too naive. Domain Lord Wantian's eyes were cold. As long as he wasn't facing an upper heavenly master, he had a chance to escape or kill his opponent. Just as he was about to rush out, tree vines suddenly grew out of his body, and before he could react, he was already tied up. In the blink of an eye, Domain Lord Wantian was entangled by countless tree vines, like a dumpling. Without anyone noticing, the attack had implanted itself into his body, taking root in his body. Everything was so sudden, so terrifying. Let's end this. Countless branches spread out again, turning into countless green light spots. After condensing, it was Heavenly Master Long Ming. He didn't expect these dense branches to be his own body. After spreading out, it was equivalent to countless attacks. Domain Lord Wantian seemed to have cut off everything, but in fact, he had been implanted by Heavenly Master Long Ming's energy, quickly taking root and finally binding him. Without any warning, he was subdued just like that. What's going on? Domain Lord Wantian struggled, and in the end, countless tree vines came out of his nose, mouth, and ears, quickly sealing him completely. The moment he was sealed, Heavenly Master Long Ming stretched out his hand and wrapped the tree vines around Domain Lord Wantian, bursting him into a cloud of blood mist. The fierce method made many people's hearts tighten. A dignified Domain Lord Wantian was killed just like that. What a wonderful bloodline, what a wonderful martial art, Tianyun sighed. Domain Lord Wantian's strength was good, but he was still lacking. The difference wasn't in strength, but in the strangeness of the move. Invading one's body without anyone noticing, and taking root in one's body, it was terrifying just thinking about it. With a burst of strangulation, everything turned into nothingness. Successfully killed Domain Lord Wantian. Reward, 210. 000 EXP, 8. 000 Crazy Point, 5. 000 SPS, obtain 10,000 Sky God Claw, Lower Empyrean Spirit Treasure, 10,000 Sky Wings, Middle Empyrean Spirit Treasure, 10,000 Sky God Art. You've killed someone of a higher level. You've gained an additional 50,000 compressed experience points. Like before, he could obtain experience and items. It was another bountiful harvest. So many Empyrean Spirit Treasures, it could be said that it could not be used at all. It should be said that he could not use them at all. These things were different from the 10,000 gods pagoda, which could be suppressed by controlling the artifact spirit. They all had artifact spirits, but the artifact spirits couldn't actively allow these attacks to attack, so they could only act as support. Therefore, only Yi Tianyun, who had the power of a heavenly lord, could control it. Otherwise, it would be like a pile of scrap metal that could not be used at all. As for the spoils of war, they naturally kept them. Even Heavenly Paragon Li had pocketed the spoils of war after killing the Sacred Peak Domain Lord. Although they came to help Yi Tianyun, it doesn't mean that they can't take the spoils of war. They were also short of resources, so the spoils of war still belonged to them, especially the spoils of war of those with high cultivation. Yi Tianyun didn't say much. Since they came to help, the spoils of war belonged to them. Anyway, he also got the spoils of war, so he didn't feel like he lost anything. Dead, both domain lords are dead. The elders and disciples who followed after saw their domain lords were easily killed, and their morale plummeted. Even their domain lord was killed, what else could they do to resist? Kill! Immediately, a group of people rushed up and killed these invaders, and Yi Tianyun also participated in the harvest. Luli domain lord, elder Jiyu, and the others also went up together. As long as they have the ability, they will fight. They were all part of the divine realm of the three realms, so they couldn't just stand by and watch, so they were already prepared for this battle. It's over. Heavenly Paragon Li and the others saw this scene, but they didn't attack the remaining divine lords, as it wasn't necessary for them to do so, and they could leave it to the cultivators of the divine realm of the three realms to handle it. Soon, these invaders were all annihilated. There was no suspense at all. When the leading domain lord was killed, the invasion was declared a failure. The strongest had been killed, and the rest were just cannon fodder. Is this a sure win? Yi Tianyun heaved a sigh of relief. This time, their side didn't suffer any losses, not even a single casualty, and all the invaders were crushed. Actually, he was overly cautious. If he had flown here directly, the outcome would still be the same. The losses wouldn't be great, and it could even be said that there would be 0 losses. The divine realm of the three realms had been reinforced in all aspects, and with the help of external experts, it wouldn't be a problem to win this battle. However, Yi Tianyun had been too cautious, and he wanted 0 losses. That was why he had taken on all of this by himself, wanting to destroy a group of invaders first. Even if the remaining invaders attacked the divine realm of the three realms, they would be able to deal with them easily. Now, it seemed that he had been overthinking. Just Heavenly Paragon Li alone was enough to suppress the 2 domain lords. It's not over yet, it's only just begun. Heavenly Paragon Li flew to Yi Tianyun's side, looked at the token core in his hand, and said, "It hasn't even been a week. There's still half a month left. During this time, anything can happen. We killed the domain lords of the 2 divine domains. What else can they do to us?" Yi Tianyun said with a frown. "There is, and it just so happens that the 2 domain lords will retaliate in the end." Heavenly Paragon Li's expression was solemn, and he didn't look like he was joking. Their final retaliation. Could it be that they're willing to give up their rights to destroy us? Yi Tianyun's expression changed. "Yes, that's what I mean." Heavenly Venerate Force's expression was solemn as he said, "Since you can't get it, then don't even think about others getting it." That's what I meant. However, in the end, the one who obtained the token core could be another god realm, or even their puppet god realm. Maybe it won't be the ending they imagined, but at least they won't give the opportunity to others. Yi Tianyun's expression darkened. It seemed that this was indeed the case. At that time, wouldn't it mean that many Middle Empyreans, or even Upper Empyreans, would be rushing over? At that time, wouldn't the reinforcements from the 2 divine realms attack us? Yi Tianyun said in a low voice. Chapter 1407. The battle was temporarily over. The situation here quickly spread to the Sacred Peak Sacred Realm and the Myriad Heaven Sacred Realm. It could even be said that the entire outer sacred realm was shocked. The three realms' sacred realm had completely wiped out the invaders from the two sacred realms. This meant that two sacred realms could not compare to a first-grade sacred realm. It would be a joke if word got out. Who would have thought that a mere grade 1 god realm would be able to suppress two grade 3 god realms? No one would believe it if they told others about it. But the truth was right in front of them. They could only choose to believe it. While shocking the other sacred realms, it also caused a huge commotion in the Myriad Heaven Sacred Realm and the Sacred Peak Sacred Realm. One by one, the foreign reinforcements slammed the table in anger. Murderous intent immediately filled the entire hall. A group of guards trembled at the side, completely unable to withstand the aura. I didn't expect to lose. Our Myriad Heaven Sacred Realm actually lost to a first-grade sacred realm. What a disgrace. That's right. Hurry up and activate the second plan. Let's settle for a puppet sacred realm. Yes, let's do it this way. There's no time to lose. Move out immediately. All the foreign reinforcements from the Myriad Heaven Sacred Realm were immediately mobilized without any reservations. The Sacred Peak Sacred Realm was like a chess piece that had been discarded. Everything had been abandoned. There were no experts stationed here at all. This meant that if a strong enemy invaded, the Myriad Heaven Sacred Realm would definitely be occupied. Originally, the Myriad Heaven Domain Lord had already led all the experts out. The rest were the powerful reinforcements. Now that all the powerful reinforcements had left, the strongest remaining were only Earth monarchs. Any random heaven monarch would be able to occupy it easily. It would truly be a mockery when the time came. Not only the Myriad Heaven Sacred Realm, but even the Sacred Peak Sacred Realm was also in an uproar. It's the reinforcements from vast Heavenly Sovereign's side. I didn't expect the three realms Sacred Realm to be in cahoots with vast Heavenly Sovereign. Damn it, I should have thought of this guy earlier. But wasn't vast Heavenly Sovereign injured by God-killer Heavenly Sovereign? How can he still participate in this Sacred Realm battle? I'm not sure. In any case, he often confronts us in the inner Sacred Realm. In that case, we won't hold back anymore. We'll go all out and destroy the three realms Sacred Realm. Activate the second plan. Let the other god realms take the spots. Saint Peak God Domain's side was even more furious. Through the influence of the scouts, they immediately saw the situation of Heavenly Venerable Sword C and the others and immediately recognized them. Following that, all the experts of the Sacred Peak God Realm moved out. Just like the Myriad Heaven God Realm, they abandoned the Sacred Peak God Realm. It had to be said that this was very decisive. He threw it away without any hesitation. To them, as long as it was worthless, they would discard it without holding anything back. Just like the Myriad Heaven Divine Realm, it immediately became a sacrificial pawn, directly abandoned. With a large number of people mobilized, it could be said that experts had gathered and were charging towards the divine realm of the three realms. The God realm of the three realms had also made their preparations. All the experts were gathered together with solemn expressions, ready to fight at any time. At that time, there will definitely be a large number of experts coming to kill us. Little junior brother, you have to be prepared. Casualties are inevitable. All we can do is defend the God domain of the three realms and obtain the final victory. Only then will we be able to face our fallen subordinates. Heavenly Lord Force said in a deep voice. I know that, but I will still fight for it. Yi Tianyun nodded. With a large group of experts charging over, it was unlikely that there would be no casualties. However, he would try his best to achieve no casualties. He wanted to challenge himself and not resign himself to fate. Heavenly Lord Force did not say much. He only shook his head. He couldn't help but sigh at Yi Tianyun's lack of knowledge. He had never seen anyone who could win a divine realm battle without suffering any casualties. It should be said that victory was victory, and casualties were completely negligible. Right now, the God domain of the three realms was very quiet. However, This was the eve of a storm, and it could erupt at any time. Everyone was extremely nervous, and an oppressive atmosphere permeated the surroundings. "They're here," Heavenly Lord Force said in a deep voice. Soon, a large group of powerful forces tore through the space in front and came over. Immediately after, Heavenly Venerables appeared in front of them. The lowest cultivation level was at the middle level Heavenly Venerables, and the highest cultivation level was at the upper level Heavenly Venerables. However, they were only at the early level. There were no mid-level Heavenly Venerables. In an instant, 8 Heavenly Venerables appeared, all of them at the middle level Heavenly Venerables or above. This scene was truly frightening. With so many powerhouses suddenly appearing, their terrifying auras caused space to distort, as if it would collapse at any moment. Everyone's complexions darkened. This was the strength of external reinforcements. 8 middle-level Heavenly Venerables and above powerhouses. Their combined strength completely crushed the Heavenly Venerables on Etienne's side. On Etienne's side, there were 2 middle-level Heavenly Venerables and 1 upper-level Heavenly Venerables. His opponents were 7 middle-level Heavenly Venerables and 1 upper-level Heavenly Venerables. The upper-level Heavenly Venerables were evenly matched, but the middle-level Heavenly Venerables had a large gap and were directly crushed. The disparity in strength was immediately reflected here. In the end, the strength of external reinforcements was still stronger than their opponents. The moment they appeared, the Saint Peak Divine Realm was removed from the Divine Realm battle. They could no longer participate in the Divine Realm battle and could only wait for the next round. If they casually participated in the Divine Realm battle, that would be the same as violating the rules. If they violated the rules, they would be judged. Of course, this had nothing to do with the powerhouses of the inner Divine Realm. They didn't belong here, so the rules couldn't restrict them. This felt extremely unfair, but what was fair in this world? As expected, you are disciples under Empyrean Vast Expanse. Does your vast divine sect wish to participate in this Divine Realm battle? Empyrean Scarlet Soaring icily glared at Empyrean Strength and the others. This has nothing to do with the vast divine sect. It is us who want to participate in the battle. What problem is there with that? Empyrean Strength directly refuted Empyrean Scarlet Soaring's words. Nonsense. You want to participate in the battle of your own volition? These words can fool a 3-year-old child, but you want to deceive us? Empyrean Scarlet Soaring coldly said, no matter what your goals are, we are all enemies in the inner Divine Realm and here is no exception. I want to see just what level the disciples of the vast divine sect are at. Just as they were preparing to fight, the void around them twisted and a group of people broke through the void, landing on the side. On the other side, 8 Empyrean powerhouses also appeared. They were also composed of 7 middle-level Empyreans and 1 upper-level Empyrean. Chapter 1408. This batch of Heavenly Venerables was undoubtedly the Heavenly Venerables of the Myriad Heaven's Sacred Realm. There were also 8 Heavenly Venerables, exactly the same as the Sacred Peak Sacred Realm. When they appeared, they exchanged glances with the Sacred Peak Sacred Realm Heavenly Venerables and saw the shock in each other's eyes. They didn't expect that their opponents would also come here and have the same number as them. Each of the Sacred Realm Heavenly Venerables thought that they had sent enough reinforcements. They speculated that the opponent's reinforcements would be 5 at most. Who knew that they would send 8 reinforcements? They were really strong. So it's Heavenly Venerable Nine Hong. I didn't expect that we would meet in this way. Heavenly Venerable Scarlet Soaring's eyes were cold, full of killing intent. Without a doubt, the two of them were enemies. It should be said that their relationship was originally hostile. It was obvious from the sacred realm they were sent to. However, there were also non-hostile ones. Some were paid to do things or were sent to do tasks. As for hostility between the sacred realms, this was a common thing. Whether it was the inner sacred realm or the outer sacred realm, it was common. Oh, I didn't expect to see you here either. Heavenly Venerable Nine Hong snorted coldly, his eyes full of killing intent. However, they didn't make a move immediately and just looked at each other. The hostility was very strong, but they had no intention of making a move. They knew what their current goal was, and that was to destroy the sacred realm of the three realms. This way, the token core would immediately become an ownerless object and be fought over again. They couldn't keep it with them, and as long as they touched it, they would be punished immediately. This didn't prevent them from destroying Yi Tianyun. Destroying him would allow them to fight over it again. Therefore, apart from them, there were also other puppet sacred realm powerhouses coming over. Their cultivation was only at the lower heavenly venerable level, enough to hold down a grade 2 sacred realm. These were the puppets to be fought over. The sacred peak sacred realm was the same, bringing along their puppet forces. After destroying the sacred realm of the three realms, they would fight over it. Is that so? Then let's destroy the sacred realm together and fight. Heavenly Venerable Scarlet Soaring's eyes were full of fighting spirit. No problem, then let's destroy the sacred realm of the three realms first. Then it'll depend on our own ability. Heavenly Venerable Nine Hong immediately reached a consensus with the other party. They decided to destroy the sacred realm of the three realms first before fighting over it. Originally, they were supposed to fight each other, and whoever won would snatch it. However, their losses were too great. If they didn't destroy the divine realm of the three realms, they wouldn't be able to resolve the hatred in their hearts. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I'll first destroy the god realm of the three realms, then snatch it from each other. After reaching a consensus, Heavenly Venerable Sword C and the others had grave expressions. This wasn't a good thing. There were 16 Heavenly Venerables, and the weakest was a middle-level Heavenly Venerate. If they fought, he would really be suppressed. Although the three of them were powerful, they still couldn't compare to them. The gap between them was too big. For example, Empyrean Li was very strong, but the other side also had two upper Empyreans. 1 against 2, how could he not be suppressed? As for the other two senior brothers, it was the same. Even if they were very strong, it was difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. They were unable to withstand the encirclement and were completely suppressed. From their serious expressions, it could be seen that they were taking this matter very seriously. They had already raised their strength to the maximum and were prepared for a great battle. It's been a long time since I fought a fierce battle. 2 sword lights flickered in Heavenly Venerable Sword C's eyes. 6 swords appeared in his hands at an unknown time, and he was ready to fight a crazy battle at any time. Heavenly Venerable Dragon Cry even revealed his dragon body. On the originally thick tree bark, there were even thick dragon scales. Under such circumstances, one's defensive power could be said to have risen in a straight line, reaching a heaven-defying level. Heavenly Venerable Li Tian also unleashed his strength god bloodline. Blue veins popped up on his arms, and he could erupt with his strongest power at any time. The preparation of the three made the 16 Heavenly Venerables in front of them laugh in disdain. Facing the 16 of us, you still aren't willing to give up. Your spirit is really commendable, Heavenly Venerable Scarlet Soaring said disdainfully. However, even if you want to run, we won't let you. The 3 of them were accomplices, and they annihilated so many Heavenly Venerables of the 2 god realms. How could they escape? Don't worry, we never thought of escaping. Heavenly Venerable Sword C sneered. Since we decided to help little junior brother, we can't retreat. Yi Tianyun was extremely touched. Under normal circumstances, this would definitely be a desperate situation. If they hired people to come over, they would definitely run and not stay here. The difference between the two was too great, and it was already a dead end. Under such circumstances, could they not escape? But the 3 of them did not escape. As long as they firmly believed that Yi Tianyun was their junior brother and agreed to these things, they would not go back on their word. Escape? I've never escaped. If you want to fight, then come and fight. Heavenly Venerable Li Tian clenched his fists tightly, long prepared to fight to the death. That's right. How can we possibly go back on something we promised? Heavenly Venerable Dragon Cry's gaze was icy cold. Especially when it's our opponent. Who knows who will kill who? Their auras confronted each other, filled with fighting spirit. Is that so? Then charge over and trample them. Heavenly Venerable Scarlet Soaring did not continue being long-winded. He stopped, to a large extent, because he had discussed the plan with Heavenly Venerable Nine Hong. Now that both of them had the same goal, it was easy to negotiate. With a word of command, everyone attacked. Not just them, even the Heavenly Venerables of the myriad Heaven Divine Realm rushed over one after another. 16 Heavenly Venerables surrounded them. It looked very spectacular, and there was no way to escape. Senior brothers, fight with all your strength. There's no need to worry about anything. Yi Tianyun said from the side, startling them. They did not know what he meant. We will. We must fight with all our strength. Later on, none of us will be able to take care of them. You must be careful. Heavenly Venerable Li and the others hurriedly nodded and immediately summoned their strongest Heavenly Venerable Spirit treasures. Those who could summon two absolutely would not only summon one. At this time, if they still hid their strength, that would be courting death. Glazed Region Master and the others also prepared to fight. They were inferior to a middle-level Heavenly Venerable, but now that they had to face him, they would try their best to resist. When they said they wanted to participate in the Divine Realm battle, they were already prepared to die. Immediately, they started fighting. Heavenly Venerable Li took on two upper-level Heavenly Venerables by himself, while Heavenly Venerable Sword C and the others began to clash head-on with the other middle-level Heavenly Venerables. Glazed Region Master and the others were the same. They all had a plan to move around and attack, not daring to attack head-on. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.